All right. Brandon, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Boy, oh boy, we really shot ourselves in the foot a little bit with our proposed schedule of only doing numbered pay-per-views because
Yeah,
fucking so much has happened since the last time that we talked.
yeah.
It's kind of the nature of
Fucking
the
Will
beast.
Smith, huh?
Will
Fucking
Smith,
guy.
oh dude, of all things that I hadn't even thought about. Uh, we got that. Obviously, there was that UFC Fight Night London card where Tom and Aspinall made his big splash, and they had Patty Pimlet and Molly Meatball McCann go out there and crush a couple cans. Um,
Pimblets, Pimblets gained 30 pounds since that fight too. That was
that dude
insane.
puts on weight so fucking
Yeah,
fast. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, he gets real straight pudgy faced.
good for
He
him.
looks like me after a week after a fight, dude.
After a trip to fucking hometown buffet.
Shit's insane. We don't even have to talk about it much, but Colby Covington, George Masvidal, we had those
Right.
fools fucking getting into street altercations outside of state clubs. Um,
Involving the police.
the sport's going fucking crazy. Chael Sonnen found himself in legal
Yes.
trouble. His little
Yes.
altercation that happened back in December, where he was accused of attacking some people. Well, that came back up, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But man, there's just so much that we we haven't that's happened between then and now. I feel
Yeah.
like we can go on and on, but we're here to talk about UFC 273
I
because
am.
that's a really, really good card that's coming up this Saturday, and we have plenty to talk about just with the three main fights alone. So I don't want to spend too much time. We might recap some of that stuff that I mentioned at the end of the show, but I'll start off by just asking you, man, of the three main fights, which one are you most excited for? And we can start there.
Well, of course, it's Aljamain and Peter Yan. I think if Holloway would have followed through with it, even if Holloway would have followed through or been able to fight, I would have still thought the Aljo fight would have been the one that I'm really looking forward to between the three. Um, just because it's interesting, like there's so many career trajectories, like it could change so much. I was thinking today, like I had saw a post on RMMA of it was Carlos Condit from Pancrase. I don't know if you saw it, and like it was like brutal. He stomped this guy out, right? And I was like, man, Carlos Condit, that guy's, And then I was like, man, if Aljo loses this, could his career turn into like Carlos Condit's career, where he's fucking solid, bad fucking ass, beats the shit out of everybody coming up through that weight class, but doesn't make sense for him to fight in the title fight because he just loses.
Just can't get
And
past the top guy.
yeah, and he had the interim belt for a little bit. You know, that was great, but no one remembers that. No one even I'm sure, I hadn't even really thought of that until I thought about, kind of got into this train of thought.
That's
Because
a
it was
really
when
good point.
GSP got hurt and
Yeah.
then I think he either got hurt or went to a different division or both. And Carlos had it for like, I don't know, what was it, like one or two fights maybe or
The interim
and
interim,
yeah,
but
yeah, and
did he
then
get it off of Nick Diaz?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and then it was just like, and then GSP was like, "You won't be needing this anymore." And then it was like, and then the rest of that guy's career, almost a decade after, he just beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Like legit beat the shit out of everybody. It wasn't even close, but it was like, why is he gonna fight for it? He's not gonna win.
Yeah,
And
there's just so many stories about those guys who just exist
yeah,
in the wrong division at the wrong time in the wrong era,
hmm,
just having to live in the top guy's shadow. And
right.
Carlos Condit is a good comparison to make with Aljamain Sterling because I mean that's where he's at right now. I mean he's sitting at
Yeah,
20-3. He has a fantastic record. I think, yeah.
amazing fighter too. By I mean, and I've said this before. Sorry to cut you off
No,
again, but
no,
like,
you're good.
there's tangible things I can walk out of this room and go to the next room and use that Aljamain Sterling won me for betting on him, and he's always good. Was always just a fucking professional, amazing, just amazing, and like that really does suck about this sport in particular. Or like look at the NFL, like with Tom Brady, like all these guys, like Aaron Rodgers and all the Drew Brees, all these guys, they won it, but like they really didn't have a chance to kind of like keep going because another the
So
dude was
fuck,
just here winning every year.
that guy's in our fucking division. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
I think the upside. Oh, this freaking mosquito eater just flew on my screen right now. A massive one, scared the shit out of me. That's funny.
Yeah,
Another thing about Aljamain Sterling, well, a good thing about that, if he really can't get past this whole Peter Yan business, but he wants to stay at bantamweight, the good thing is the division's completely stacked. So,
yeah,
he's cleaned out one generation of bantamweights to get to where
right.
he's at now. If he doesn't want to change weight classes, but still decides he's going to stick around in Peter Yan's division, obviously, if he keeps knocking off contenders, he'll end up potentially getting a third fight with Yan.
Right.
Because I mean, he technically has one win over him,
Or are
as
there so many
ridiculous as it
guys?
was.
Are there so many guys that can keep vying? He just kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. There's dudes going all the way to number 20, so he can make a career off of fighting these guys. It sounds fucked up to make it sound like that's what his career is going to be. Peter Yan's going to be, um,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. But I mean, I saw your parlay, so I already know who you're
yeah,
picking.
yeah.
Um, but what do you think that Aljamain Sterling could potentially do different in this fight to have a little bit more success or to potentially turn it around?
I think his best chances early on, uh, the longer the fight goes, is not going to be good for him, just because of the muscle. He kind of has that Tyron Woodley syndrome. I think he has great cardio, great, but I think he's just so jacked and he's so explosive that that stuff can really. And in this fight too,
He looks
there's
even
going to
more
be
jacked.
fans.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's going to be way more jacked,
yeah.
and there's going to be it's going to be a packed house. So, the last one, it was Apex. It was quiet. He can kind of think. He was, in this one, that adrenaline is not gonna. It's gonna sneak up on him, and he's a great fighter, but you can tell by social posts that it's gotten to him.
Hmm.
Like you get it out of the way now. Like the dude's been a meme for you know
And
from I
he
don't know how long.
and he's talked openly about how he let that get under his
Yeah,
skin for a little while, and then
yeah,
he started to let it roll off his back for a little while. So he's kind of gone up and down with it, as far as like living with that whole like that tarnished champion thing, which
yeah.
is really fucked up. I got pretty
It
annoyed for a
is.
little while because the further away you got from their fight, the more people started to act like the knee didn't even land. Like it was literally all acting. He may have hammed it up, but that knee was as illegal as it gets, and it landed
Yeah,
fucking flush.
it
Um,
is. Yeah, it is. I've gone back and forth, like in the beginning, thinking like, okay, dude, come on, and then thinking like, well, no, dude, he just got kneed in the head,
yeah, I mean,
and
the ref has to do something to make it right for him.
yeah,
Otherwise, everyone's just saying
yeah,
like, "What up? Could it get up, bitch? Like, keep fighting."
yeah.
And it's like, dude,
But then it's
take a
like,
point. Give
well,
me a reason to keep fighting. Take a point from this man.
but then it's like it looked like like I don't know, like think of one like Stipe, right? Got folded. He
Mhm.
got up a lot faster than Aljamain
Oh yeah,
did.
yeah, Aljamain was for sure hamming it up. I
Yeah,
think any fighter in his situation should ham it up. And
yeah,
I think it's really on the ref to be like, okay, this man was just fouled in a big way. It wasn't fouled in a way where he didn't get a takedown that he was trying to get, or you
grab
know
the
what I mean.
gloves or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
no, it was a like a fight changing foul where you get
right,
need to the dome in a position where he's thinking I'm safe. I shouldn't be getting kneed in the head. So it's got to hurt even more because you're not expecting it,
right.
where he's at. So yeah, that's one where it's like that's on the ref for not doing his job. I know that they don't like to take away points because in a sport where
It
you
was
fight
Herb Dean, right?
3 rounds, 5 rounds, I don't remember who the ref
I
was.
think it was
Yeah,
because I was watching it, and then I remember him saying because it was so quiet in the Apex, and then but it's like Jan doesn't speak English,
yeah.
so he's like downed opponent, and then Jan looks at him like okay, and then beat him in the head. But like Herb Dean refs M1, so like he should know like something,
Mhm.
in Russian, like or some type of Slavic like language to be able to say like I wouldn't even know how you would say that
It
in
should just
Russian, but
be a whole group of referees, like only one guy in the cage, but there should be like 4 different guys
Like the pride guys, like running around the ring, like making sure they don't
just
fall through or
pushing their
whatever.
arms back in the cage and
Yeah,
shit.
pushing their arm back through,
No, but like how the NFL does it.
biting fingers in the
There's
cage.
like how the NFL does it. There's a guy on the phone, looking at shit on a monitor, like looking at replays, in the moment
Sure.
and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
um, granted, mixed martial arts doesn't need it as much, but from the times that it
Yeah.
does, the times when it does get there, it just ends up being a clusterfuck because these guys,
Yeah, you're
they don't
right.
have to deal with those kind of calls very often. So it's easy I mean, I get it. It's easy to forget that kind of shit, but
Right.
you mentioned about Aljamain Sterling's cardio and how he has really good
Right.
cardio, and he does.
He
But
does.
I also feel like that's one of those deals where he's able to exploit that cardio when he controls the position and
Right.
the pace of the
Yes,
fight,
sir.
and he was never able to do that with Yan in
Great
the
point.
first fight. And like I've been seeing him on Instagram, the dude's more jacked than ever. He's just
He's
veins on
amazing.
veins on veins.
He looks great. Yeah.
So I think he's coming. He's prepared and he's going to make the most of it. But I just Peter Yan, he makes such good reads. He adjusts so well that
Yeah.
his last fight, that made me realize, like, I don't know if Aljamain Sterling can turn it around or do anything with him in the stand up, because I mean Peter Yan, he really, like, he didn't embarrass Corey Sandhagen, but I picked Corey Sandhagen in that fight. I thought his
Yeah.
boxing would get it done. And everything that Corey Sandhagen had, he had an answer for him, and he was adjusting like mid fight, like he was doing things at the end of the fight that he wasn't doing in the beginning in response to things that Corey Sandhagen was doing.
Right.
So, and with the trips, like I feel like it must be really
That's the
hard.
part where it shows you that this guy, it's slower for him and he processes things at a different rate than a
Mhm.
lot of other fighters might, even at that high of a level, because those trips, they look easy. That looks like, oh, well, he just kicked his leg out. Like, but
Yeah.
to know when to do that and to feel your opponent's energy or to feel your opponent's momentum and to know, like, oh, that'll work, and then
Yeah.
that'll work real quick, and then to capitalize on it, because sometimes that happens in a fight and the guys are like, shit, that worked, and then they kind of like don't know whether to jump on top
Hmm.
or to ground and pound or back up a little bit. He knows exactly, like,
Yeah.
okay, tripped his leg, he's gonna be flying this way, I'll grab the arm and roll over. And it's like, whoa. So you can tell he processes things a
Yeah.
lot different than most guys do.
Yeah, that situational awareness is insane. To hit those trips that consistently, and that with that
Right.
variety of trips, he's not using any energy to pull those off. And I feel like
Hmm.
that kind of cunningness
Yeah,
to hit
and
those
you
kind of
have to be
trips.
deep in the pocket for
Yeah.
that to work, because you have to be so close to him and to within a certain range, because you can't do a little like sambo, like Achilles trip
Mhm.
from, like, arm's length distance. That's got to be in the pocket and you're moving and you can feel where he's at, and then, oh, that'll work, boom, there you go.
And I think that
And that's
translates
hard.
yeah, and I think that translates directly into also knowing when to explode to get up off the ground. Should
Exactly.
Aljamain be able to take him down? Um, so yeah, man, he's got a real tall task ahead of him. But Aljamain Sterling is
He
as
could
game
do
as they
it
come.
though.
He can do it. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he
wouldn't
can
be
do it.
like, I wouldn't be completely shocked.
Right.
I would be more shocked if Korean Zombie gets the W over
Sure.
Volkanovski. Um, but yeah, I'm rooting for him. Aljamain Sterling is one of only 3 U.S. champions at the moment. There's only 3
Right.
that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at Kamaru Usman, because
He's
Kamaru
American.
Usman's,
Come on.
he's American, but he,
He's American.
on all the promos and all the graphics and everything, they put that Nigerian flag on there, and he reps it pretty hard. He is American. I know he has at least dual citizenship, but
Right.
as far as like who's really repping America, yeah, it's just
Hmm.
Aljamain Sterling, Juliana Pena, and Rose Namajunas right now. So that'd be
Hmm.
interesting if
The
they're able
lovely
to
and
hold on to.
talented Rose Namajunas.
So yeah, we've talked about that at length. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's anything else that you want to cover with that fight, or any interesting lines
Just
that you're looking at.
just the like, you, as far as like betting on the card, or you mean?
Yeah, do you think that maybe there's an interesting prop bet to look at that would be
Oh,
interesting for this fight?
for this one, by decision. it would
Mm,
go to decision, Peter Yan by decision. I think that's one that I would definitely, I think could is a possibility, and I could see both of them. Um, not so much, um, not so much like throwing out a stinker or kind of like you getting like that Ngannou effect where like they're overthinking it or whatever, but more or less the way their styles work out to where it kind of it's a exciting fight. It's like a really entertaining fight, but it just kind of
mm,
goes the distance, and Jan kind of pulls away towards the end. It's kind of like how I kind of see it in my head happening.
mm,
Not sure if that's what could happen. Obviously, in fighting, something weird could happen, but it's like the last fight. Who would have
mm.
saw that? But um, yeah, the last fight I bet on Andre. This one I have Peter Yan winning. But if I would bet a prop, I would say it would go over 4.5 rounds and Yan by decision. If I had to bet a prop. What did you do? Have you made your verdict picks yet, or
I
do you
did.
wait? Or?
I did actually. Let me pull them up. I put them in about a week ago, so
Mhm.
I will let you know what I did on there. So my verdict picks are to chase points sometimes, so they don't
Right.
always
Oh, so you're
reflect.
kind of like throwing a Hail Mary a little bit,
Sometimes depends. Not with every fight. But because you get a certain amount
or
of
trying
points.
not to lose.
Yeah, you get a
Yeah,
certain amount of
I
points
see
to
what you're saying.
distribute. Kind of like money.
Yeah,
So that one
right.
I didn't put any extra points on, and I have um I also have Peter Yan by decision. I don't know if it'll.
I can't see that. Oh, it's working.
Yeah.
It just says crypto.
Oh, it does at the bottom actually. Um. So yeah. Well, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought about Peter Yan. Oh, you were mentioning about yeah, like Peter Yan's fights might not necessarily be he's a great fighter. Probably won't look like fireworks. He's probably gonna have an
Right.
efficient fight. And really rally in the end and get a unanimous decision. Peter Yan's one of those fighters where you don't realize how good of a fight it was sometimes until you go back and watch the highlights and watch it in slow
Again.
motion a little bit and realize like, oh shit, that was an adjustment that he made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then
Like,
see the guys that he was fighting and how like they were fucking surging into his fight, and then he just made them look pedestrian.
yeah, a lot of Peter Yan's success at bantamweight is also a little bit of like looking in hindsight is like, fuck, he beat that guy, and then that guy went on a
Yeah.
tear. So yeah,
Yeah.
he beat a lot of the really top guys when he was pretty young. Um,
Hmm.
we can move backwards a little bit and not necessarily. We can save the main event for the end,
Sure.
and we can talk about Gilbert Burns versus Hamza Shimayev. This is one that I went back and forth on for a little while, man. It's really hard to not when you think about Hamza Shimaev passes the eye test. He looks amazing. I think he is amazing. I think he belongs at the top of this division. Um, but Gilbert Burns just has so much experience. He's a guy who has an answer in almost every area for what Hamzat Shemaev is going to bring to the table. Um, he has the power.
Except like I'll stop you. Can I? Oh well,
Uh,
I already did it, so might as well
go
fucking go
go
through
ahead.
it there.
Yeah.
See, because I've had the same what you're saying, and I've had that in my head too, and we haven't really talked about it. So
Mm,
we're talking about it right now, which is good. But I've had the same thing, like, whoa, he's ADCC champion. He's
mm.
fought so many guys. He's down to, but he's a lot smaller.
The size, exactly. Yeah.
He like you can't, and then like I've seen people say like, well, he's fucking Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I mean, even fucking Rogan and like, he's a fucking world champion, multiple time world champion, highest grade black belt you
Mm.
can fucking get. Front, and it's just like, okay, that's great, dude. But he's done those in very like I guess like predictable situations where it's like in ADCC, you know what you're doing. You're doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So he knows. Hamzat does not want to get his arm pulled off, and he's not. If he doesn't have to, he doesn't have to lay there and wait for you to jump on top of him and and roll around. That's not how he has to win. So, and also he's just a lot stronger. You know, he's just so much stronger. At least you can just tell he's so much stronger than the guys that he fights against. He's a damn good grappler himself.
Mm.
So. it's like, yeah, he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all-timer, but at the same time, it's like they're not gonna start from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're not gonna be playing in in those rules. Like he can actually pick you up and throw you if
Mhm.
you're not in the wrong spot. Like I don't know if I'm explaining it the right way, but I thought of this and I got really mad at myself because it's like, yeah, but what if he's just that much because he's huge and I don't think
He's
he's gonna
very
stay in
big.
this weight
He's
class.
going to be a
He's
middleweight.
not gonna stay in this weight class
Mhm.
for long. He can't. There's no way.
And Gilbert
And he
Burns came up from lightweight. So, I mean, the
right.
size disparity is going to be even that much more
Yeah,
pronounced.
it's gonna be crazy when they step in the cage.
Mm.
And um the only thing I think that can kind of derail it is, and I haven't been keeping up with it, is the scale. Like
Mm.
that's really the only thing that I would worry me in this fight.
I was a
Um,
little bit disappointed that the Li Jingliang fight with Hamza Shimayev didn't go a little bit longer because for me, one of my biggest holdups was like, man, this guy thought that he was going to die from COVID for a little bit. And we've seen
yeah,
people who really had bad cases of COVID come back and kind of underperform. So
right.
I'm really curious if there's any long-standing side effects of that that Hamza Shimaev might feel in the later rounds. But a lot, like you said, though, that size disparity is too much of an issue for me, and the
You just
fact that
can't teach that. Yeah.
yeah, and the fact that it's 3 rounds is also an issue for me for
Hmm.
Gilbert Burns. I think that
Yeah.
there's just too many things that Hamzat Shimaev does with his grappling that Gilbert Burns might not necessarily have an answer for. If he does, it's going to have to be an answer that he's going to have to fight very hard for. Because Gilbert
Right.
Burns 8 wins by submission in mixed martial arts. Like you said, top of the food chain jujitsu, but he's not a super flashy jujitsu guy. He's
He
a
hasn't
guy who's like,
submitted any. Has he submitted anybody in this weight class? I don't think so.
let me go back and check.
If he has, probably one. If I had to guess.
Decision over Wonder Boy, decision over Woodley, uh, TKO for Demian Maya. That's a grappling match. Damn it, Tapology. Decision over Gunnar Nelson. No, it doesn't look like he has any welterweight submissions. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's like, well, when the guys are a little bit bigger, it's a little bit harder.
yeah, and
You
he
know.
and his jujitsu game is like it feels bad to say fundamental because it's I mean it's anything but I'm sure he knows plenty of flashy shit, but for like as far as how he applies it in mixed martial arts, it's
Yeah.
just it's cutting. You know what I mean? He's not doing anything
Yeah.
crazy. He's not coming out with any De La Hiva guard or like fucking trying to
Yeah.
hit you with any kind of a twister or anything like that. He wants to take
Good
your back
point.
and
Good
strangle
point.
you. You know, and I think that a guy like Hamzat Shemaev has seen that all before. A guy like who
He
trains like
probably
he
has.
does.
But now
Um,
that you're saying that, to beat a dude like Hamzat, the advanced fundamentals to where like you just know this shit to a T, like you can do it rolling out of bed. He can he can do it might be good for him.
mhm,
Someone in there trying to look for something a little more creative, you might get lost in the middle of
mhm,
like in two different minds where it's like, oh, should I go for this like crazy ass move or should I just do what I know what to do? Because
mhm,
it's that quick with someone like this. So
mhm,
if he's fundamentally in the right spot, I mean, I can see it like that, but because you don't, there's no frills. You're not going to win this fight in a frilly way. You're
mhm,
going to have to win this fight with what you do best and just stick to it. Don't try and go outside the margins and get freestyle. You can't freestyle with a dude like this. Let's just fucking
mhm.
laser focus in on this. But the fuck do I know, you know?
Another factor about this fight that has me really excited though is how hungry both guys are. Gilbert Burns has had his crack at the title and he came up short. And we saw how he was in tears in the cage afterwards. Like it
Yeah,
means so fucking much to
yeah,
him to prove himself that he's the best in the world, at least for
right.
one night. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And Khamzat Shemaev, despite being this big breakout star and making this huge splash in the UFC, we know he's destined for greatness. We know he's going to be around for a long time, but he still hasn't made his money in the UFC. You
right.
know what I mean? And I've watched some of the like the embeddeds and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
some videos about Khamzat Shemaev, and that guy's still trying to make money for his family. He
Right.
has a huge name. we're not going to he's going to be recognizable for a while with that fucking scar on his lip. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's a scary fucking guy. But he's still hungry for more. And I don't know if it's just for greatness for him. I think for him, it's about now. I want my family to be
changing
well
his
off.
family
Yeah.
situation, right?
So that motivation for both fighters, these guys are
And he
gonna
just
get
seems
fucking
delusional,
after it.
like in a good way.
Uh,
And maybe that's because he hasn't really been tested to this point, but it's like sometimes, like, I was like, you see all these CEOs of these large companies or good companies. What's like the common denominator? They're sociopaths. They just don't care. They do not care if whatever obstacle it is, it's not going to stop them. They have it in their head that they're the best. They don't care what they have to do to get there, who they have to hurt or whatever. And you can see that in this guy's eyes. Like, he just does not care. He
mm-hmm,
just does not care,
mm-hmm,
like, who it is he has to fight, when, how long, what rules. He has to get to this certain level, and I don't even think he even knows what that level
mm-hmm.
is. He just knows, like, he has to annihilate everybody in the way to
Just
get
keep
to where he needs to be.
just keep lining them up. Yeah,
And
every fight's dollar signs.
that's something that's like you can't teach it. And then when you put it in someone who has the skill set that he does and has the ability that he does, it can go to like this insane fucking level. So it's really interesting.
Gilbert Burns opened up and shared that Kamaru Usman has actually joined him for a little bit during his training camp to help him prepare for Hamza Shimayev. Do you think that that
Wow.
potentially makes any difference for him, or could be a
No,
factor?
I don't think
Doesn't
so.
change the look of the fight for you at all.
I don't, I mean, well, maybe mentally, like, just kind of like adding that inner game
Mm-hmm.
to Gilbert to where it's like I'm rolling with the champ and I look good in that situation, and
Mm-hmm.
I was rolling with him on this day and I did well, or I won rounds in that sparring session or whatever, maybe mentally. But I don't see how that game is going to translate to a tangible anything you can take into the cage besides just having that mental, like, oh, we're boys again. Or if they, I mean, of course they're boys, but like, man, I won rounds with the champ and I trained with the champ and held my own, you know.
Yeah, and of course, without seeing it, I mean, how could you even answer that question? Really,
Right.
it's tough to without seeing how that impacts. Is he there for advice? Is he there for sparring? Is he there for to help him drill his wrestling? It's we're gonna see in the fight. Do you think that a win for either man in this scenario punches their ticket to a title shot?
I don't think Burns would probably still have to do a few more things, maybe one or two more fights. I think Hamza could definitely get it just because it's kind of getting stale at the top in that division as
Mm-hmm.
far as like who Kamaro's fought. So someone on the trajectory that Hamzat's on, and um, someone who, and then depending on how well or how he performs, if it's like an undeniable type thing, like where he just tears this guy's arm off and like hands it to them and like, okay, well, give this guy to me now, you can't keep him back from it. So I think if he wins, he can definitely get one. I think Gilbert may, depending on how things go. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think if he like pulls out a decision,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he knocks him out cold, if he knocks Hamzat out cold and it looks like convincing, then maybe. But I don't think a decision or kind of a close fight really gets him
It's a
over the
tough
hump on that.
it's a tough position to be in if you're Gilbert Burns because
Right.
I mean, if I had to put my money where my mouth is, I would have to assume that Dana White probably wants Hamza Shimaev to win this
Yeah.
fight. Like he
Oh yeah.
wants to get that boy in a title fight.
Right.
And like you said, unless Gilbert does like finish him, totally sleeps him, puts him out in highlight reel KO, but if he just wins by a close decision and maybe a fight that isn't exactly a barn burner with both guys really have to like leave it all in the cage and it's kind of a nasty fight. Um, at the end of the day, Dana's new Starboy comes up with an L, the hype is
Yeah.
derailed a little bit. I don't think the hype would be derailed. It's a lot to say that the hype is derailed because, like I said, I think he is that good. And if Gilbert
Yes.
Burns beats him, it's not going to be some Soppel shit either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think either?
Sopple. I have not heard that in so long. Thank you, dude. We used to say that. We used to say that so much.
The
Sopple.
sop, dude. Do you think? Do you think Gilbert? Excuse me. Do you think Colby Covington stands in the way of either man, or do you think he's not interested in fighting in this? I mean, we know he's not, I guess, but uh, he doesn't want anything with Hamza
Uh,
Shimayev. But if Gilbert Burns wins, Leon Edwards has to have the next crack at Kamaru Usman. That's pretty much all but confirmed. So Colby
yeah.
Covington is just sitting there with a guy in Gilbert Burns who at that point would have wins over Hamza Shimaev and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. If they're not going to get Gilbert Burns in there for a title shot, like Colby Covington has to step up at some point.
Yeah. I don't there yeah, there's no way Covington's in the in between. I think it's kind of like all and then especially how memeable the whole situation is now with him. It's like then they'd have to like walk that back
Mhm.
in like the embedded or countdown. They're like Kobe Covington, like what's the latest highlights of him walking out of court or whatever, like why were you there? Oh, I pressed charges on this guy that hit me at a steakhouse.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, dude. Well, we got this Czechnian guy that just fucking kills everybody, but let's go with your fucking sorry ass fucking oh man,
Do you think? Oh,
crazy.
since we're talking about it now and we're on that, and we've pretty much exhausted our Gilbert Burns Hamza Shimaev talk. Unless you have anything else to add, let's talk about that really quick. Do you think? I have one specific question to ask you. Do you
Yeah.
think that Dana White sees dollar signs in a Colby Covington Masvidal rematch after everything that happened? I think it's pathetic. Personally, I
Yeah.
think it's
It's
pretty
pathetic.
fucking weak to sell that fight again. But what do you think Dana sees?
I think he sees like a rag that still has a little bit of fucking liquid that you can just wring out.
Mm.
Because because Masvidal's pretty much done now. He's done. Like, what else is he gonna do? He could round out prelims maybe, or you know, I mean, if I mean, really, what can you really after this anyway? We were in the last episode we had when we were talking about it. We are like, what's next for Masvidal? And it's like, I don't. I mean, what is next now?
He played hardball for
So
too long, and
yeah,
now he's at this place where he wants to command too much of a too high of a price tag and not fight anyone in his division anymore. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you got to strike a
so
balance there.
that's
And
all they have.
he
And
did.
then Covington now too. It's like you kind of like you lose a little bit of that because it's like confirmed like he went to the cops like and that's cool that you support police officers, but and that's cool that you support first responders. I do too. I think they're great. We need more people like that, but to like cooperate with police after getting hit in a steakhouse like by someone who is your equal, like your peer, that you actually fought, so why do that? So it's like this is crazy, and to like have to like no one's gonna want to watch it.
Mhm.
I mean,
Dude,
we would
if
just because like
anybody who wants
it's
to watch that, like anybody who's hoping that fight happens, you have to be a Colby Covington fan,
right.
and you have to be one of his fans who's not even a fight fan. Like you'd have to be one of the
Yeah,
Colby Covington fans who's just a fan because he says problematic
he was the
shit.
first fighter at the White House or whatever
Right.
the
Yeah,
fuck he said
because you
for
both
those reasons.
because you both wear MAGA hats. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
why you want to see that fight ran back again. I don't even think whatever's left of George Masvidal's fan base wants to see that fight ran back because he's going to
Yeah.
lose. It's going to be the exact same.
What would be best for Masvidal would kind of like start from the bottom and work your way up, like whether that's in the prelims of a AFC or UFC or, a feature fight in fight night or, and beat those guys. And maybe you don't know who those guys are, or maybe you do, but, and kind of like get that stink off of them by winning, putting
Yeah.
together 3 or 4 wins. but he's not going to want to do that. Why would he? Um, the only money left for him would be a Kobe trilogy. The world could be a different place, say in like August. Who knows what happens? Um, what's going on in the world or what's going on, so maybe that fight does make sense somehow, or what happens in the court findings, what they find out, or whatever. But
Yeah. Oh, you know
they
what?
really,
That's something that I forgot about. I don't know if they could even fight each other after
yeah,
all of the legal stuff is all sorted out. Because, I mean, who knows like what the ruling on that kind of stuff is going to be. And I
yeah,
think at first, I believe that Colby Covington didn't intend to press charges. I think there was just enough. There was enough evidence left by Masvidal himself online and like camera
right.
and testimonials
Jesus
and stuff that
Christ, man.
they just decided like, we actually can just arrest you whether or not Colby wants to
Yeah,
press charges. I think since then he may have decided to press charges. Oh well, no, he did because he
yeah,
claimed that he damaged his like $60,000 watch or something like that. And it's like,
yeah,
dude,
for
if
insurance
you're wearing,
purposes or
yeah,
something.
yeah, it's like, dude, if you're wearing a $60,000 watch, shut the fuck up, dude. Like
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
so big. I mean, hey, more
yeah,
power to you if you want to rock a $60,000 watch, but I mean, dude,
right.
such a bad look. Well, Colby Covington put himself in a bad situation though because there's other money fights for him out there. He did exactly.
Hmm.
He called out the perfect person in Dustin
We talked
Poirier.
about it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm so disappointed, because it's like you fumbled. How
Mm.
he's gonna write a book? How to Fumble the Bag
And
by
Dustin
Kobe Covington.
and Dustin
He
Poirier.
fumbled the fucking bag.
I think anyone else in that similar of a position who's maybe affiliated with American Top Team, who that would be an easy fight to market. They're
Yep.
seeing the way Colby Covington acts even
Yeah.
after the fight's done, and like I believe Dustin Poirier now. He said, "No, I won't contribute
Yeah.
a single penny to that guy's
Mhm.
career. I'm not going to put him over. I'm not going to let him fucking."
How quick was that? It was in our, at least for us, 'cause it's gone on since our last episode. It's been a while, but like
Oh,
we
how long
like
after the fight did the attack?
yeah, no, no, no. I'm saying you and I were like, I think literally the last words we were saying was like, fucking Kobe Covington is to the fucking moon right now.
Oh.
To the moon. Buy that fucking stock.
Uh-huh.
To the moon, boys.
Uh-huh.
And now we're like, yep, fuck him.
It's a
I
little
mean,
bit
who
of a
gives a
bet.
fuck?
I mean, it's easy. 'Cause I don't like Colby Covington as a person. I mean, I could appreciate him
Sure.
as a fighter. If he actually consistently fought and fought other guys at welterweight, by all means, keep him in my welterweight division. If I get to play fantasy MMA promoter and I get to handpick the dudes who I want in my welterweight division from the UFC,
Right.
Colby Covington's coming with me.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, I don't like Colby Covington's shtick and his personality. But even
Yeah.
then, though, it sells. There's other guys who I don't like. I don't have a problem with. I could separate the art from the artist, But
Sure.
I think he's gonna find himself in a difficult spot because dudes like Dustin Poirier are looking at him as like, dude, if this guy beats me still for weeks after the fight, he's gonna be going onto like Ariel Helwani's show and other people's like nationally fucking viewed podcasts and stuff and calling me his bitch and saying he's my father and stuff.
Yeah.
So and he's probably going to beat me because he's a really fucking good
Yeah.
fighter. So he's
Yep.
making it so that people don't want to deal with him. I think anybody who
Yeah.
thinks that like, oh yeah, that guy's probably going to kick my ass and he's never going to shut the fuck up about it, they're not going to say yes. They're going to be like,
Right.
I'm going to make money whoever I fight. It doesn't have to be Colby Covington. And if he doesn't want to fight any of the sharks that are coming up in his division and he wants to go and pick on smaller guys, it's going to start to be a bad look for anybody who's not just rocking a red cap, you know?
Right.
So,
And the thing, and like what you said too, about like his shtick and all that. It's like, for me on a bigger level, it's like his shtick of as far as like, okay, dude, like, why? Like, it's not bad to love your country. That's like awesome. You should. You know what I mean? Like, you should. That's awesome, dude.
yeah, you go have a fight anywhere else in any other country in the world, and they'll be shouting and chanting for their countrymen and stuff.
Right.
That's totally
Right.
fine. It's fine.
That's great.
Yeah,
Love it. First responders and military. You want to fucking, you know, but you're not lifting them up. You're standing on their fucking shoulders. So you need, and then it's a thin fucking line.
Uh-huh.
It's a thin fucking line in our day and age. And maybe it wasn't, you know, back in Ronnie Reagan's day, but now it's a fucking thin fucking line that you have to fucking be very careful on both sides. If you want to do the woke thing, great, do that. But it's a thin fucking line. If you want to be nationalistic, great, fuck yeah. I can see for both. But if you're gonna use it as a fucking stick, know that our shtick, know that it's a fucking thin line, and then he fucking stepped way over that line,
Mm,
and and then it showed how exploitative he is by like, oh yeah, I have an insurance claim on my watch, so
mm.
and my tooth and blah blah blah, so I better, so it's like, come on, dude, this shit gets documented, and now you look dumb now.
Yeah, yeah, you're being a bit of a diva. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting situation. Sorry we even had to go on that tangent, but I mean, it's just too. It's still too. We haven't talked about it on our any of
Yeah.
our content, and it's a little.
And it makes me mad. It makes me mad because I was like, fuck, dude, you did it, Kobe. I see why you did it now. Way to go, dude.
Mhm.
Like, god damn it, you did it. I didn't know why you were doing it. It was explained to me why you were doing it. I didn't quite see it. I just watched you, and you did exactly what you needed to do. And then within the span of a couple weeks, you completely fucking fucked it up. And like, it's not his fault. He got hit in a steakhouse just trying to
No,
grub down.
no.
Totally not his fault. And if he would have just said, like, what it is, I'm fine. But then to like go and do like an insurance claim on your watch and to go and press charges on this guy, you know, I mean, come on, dude. You did talk about his kids. You did talk about his kids' family. Like, come on, dude. Like,
Fighters
you should know.
need to stop talking about each other's families. It just
Yeah, that's insane.
I trip out on the people who that helps to sell a fight for. Because like
Yeah.
bro, like guys, at the end of the day, they're cage fighters. They're going to be
Yeah.
locked into a cage and they're going to
Doesn't
be
get
acting
any
like
more
they got to kill
intimate
each
than
other.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't understand the people who need to hear a guy talk shit about another guy's wife like this is a fucking like this is a like WWE scripted shit. It's not. And I
Yeah.
far be it from me to be a person to stick up for George Masvidal. Like that guy's a fucking idiot too.
Right.
Like I'm also
Yeah.
not a fan of George Masvidal the person.
Right.
And I'm not condoning what he did, but I don't think anybody should be surprised by what happened. Is what I'm saying. It's wrong what George Masvidal did, but when you
Mhm.
keep poking the bear like Colby Covington does, like
Yeah.
2 weeks after
If
you already
someone
beat
was
this
saying
guy's
this shit
ass,
about my family, I might do the same thing. I
e-
don't know if it'd be a sucker punch. Wasn't there to see what happened. How
everybody,
it sounds
yeah,
pretty bitch, but
more
anyone would do it.
more people would have murderous thoughts than they would like to admit. Like straight up
Mhm.
truth. Like if you heard the things that because it was already about 2 weeks after the fight, and Colby Covington, like I said, was still going on people's podcasts saying his children should be embarrassed of him. You know, he's my
Yeah.
bitch. I'm his
Right.
father. Just like it's like, bro, like start selling your next fight, dog. Like you gotta like
Yeah.
stop talking about this man. So like I
Yeah.
said, it's just despicable behavior met with despicable behavior.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't want to say that these things happen in MMA because they actually rarely do. It's not it's not
Right.
a
Isn't
common
that
occurrence.
crazy?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it probably does, but it just doesn't get charges don't get pressed. You
yeah,
know what I
it's
mean? Like, guys
true.
don't involve the law. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
And I mean, you have your platinum parries and stuff like that. You know, dudes have been in
Right.
public altercations and have laid some normal people out, unfortunately. But it hasn't
Yeah.
happened so much where we get two guys who are actually at the top of their game, like fighting in the
That
street
just
or
fought.
shit like
Yeah.
this happening. So yeah, shit is nuts. I hope we don't see it again, but I think too many people are seeing the blueprint that Colby laid down and how many extra zeros that could put
It's
on
a
your
good
paycheck.
blueprint.
It's a good
It's a
it's a
good
great
blueprint.
blueprint. Yeah.
When you're swinging the hammer on that blueprint, though, just remember that you fucking hit the fucking nail the right way. Like, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? And there's going to be a lot of nails to hit. Make sure you're hitting those nails too.
Yeah.
Now, God damn it,
Hit them nails, Colby
Kobe.
Covington. Alexander Volkanovski does not get to defend his title against Max Holloway, which was the previously scheduled fight. Max
Yeah.
Holloway had to pull out because of unspecified injury. I don't think he came out and said exactly what it was, but he hasn't given a timetable for his return. Or did he say that he was actually good to go again, like not that long ago?
From what I understood, I thought they said I thought he got kind of upset, but I could be wrong and talking out of school, and I don't have it in front of me.
I seem to
And the
remember
inform
Volkanovski saying, "Oh, now he's good to fight." What a bitch! He was probably never injured to begin
Well,
with, or
no,
something
because
like
he
that.
goes, "I'll be the backup," and
Uh-huh.
it's like, "Be the backup,
That's right.
motherfucker! You're supposed to fucking fight.
Yes,
Like,
that's right.
what are
That's
you
what it
talking
was.
about? You're gonna back up a fight that you fucking walked out of?"
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, "What do you mean?" But it happened that way because um, which gives me pause for taking the Korean Zombie because like smart money would be on Korean Zombie in this fight. I think at least I'm trying to convince myself of that. I didn't bet on him, but if like there's a sharp play to make, it would be on Korean Zombie because it's just that guy's so good. But he couldn't have fought this fight last month because he was injured.
Mhm.
Now all of it, what's changed within like 3 or 4 weeks that you can now? You know, because they were supposed to do it in March,
Mhm.
right? And then he was too hurt to do it in March. So now they're doing it like the big middle of April, and you're okay now. Like, what is that? You know, and that's why Holloway came out like, I'll back it up. You
Mhm.
know, I'll be the late. You know, the late. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the the quick turnaround, substitute if need be. And then
Mhm.
that's what got Volkanovski so mad, which is why I like Volkanovski a lot. I
Mhm.
didn't think I would ever like a guy like uh I'm not like a except for like Rob, I'm not a big guy like a down under type fan of that. I like him, but whatever. But
Not too many Australian fighters that hop out to you. That's like, I'm gonna get
yeah,
behind this.
and then
Yeah.
after the first Max win, I was like, well, let's see it again. And I didn't think after that first one, I didn't think I would ever be a fan of him.
Mhm.
He's legitimately, in my eyes, one of the top three fighters on the planet right now.
It took me a little bit
And
to come around to Alexander Volkanovski, but I agree. I think that he's like sniffing at Kamaru Usman's heels. Like,
yeah, and then his mindset of just like, I want to fucking fight now, motherfucker. Like, I want, because after the last fight, he was like, dude, I want to fight before the end of the year. Like, let me fight in December. Let me fight in January. Like, he wanted to fucking fight. Like, after and then it was a pretty ruthless
he
fight with
was in
Ortega.
trouble in that fight.
Yeah, he almost
Yeah.
got choked the fuck out. And then he's like, dude, let's fucking do it right now. Let's fucking go. I want to go again. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then Max pulled out and he's like, well, fuck it. And then he wanted to fight. And then when's the other race I can fight Zombie? Oh, well, that's going to be in March. Fuck. Okay, whatever then. And then Zombie couldn't do it because he was hurt. And
Mhm.
it's like, how many champs are like, I just want to fight? Like Usman, if that happened, I'm like, take your time, dog.
Yeah,
I'm going to be over
exactly.
here.
All right.
Whatever
Yeah.
you want to do.
Yeah.
I
We'll
think it's because
maybe we'll
he's
gaslight
getting a
Leon
little
Edwards into
older.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's because he's getting a little older. He realizes how good he is, and he doesn't want his prime to be in the pool, hearing people talk about how good he is. He wants to fucking show it. And I think it's like he's kind of playing catch up as far as legacy wise goes, maybe. But man, I love that. I love it. He's just like, I want to fucking do this shit right now. Let's fucking go, So,
Yeah, I mean, also much like bantamweight, featherweight is a division with a lot of upcoming guys right now
right.
who've maybe just had a little taste of the top of the division, but haven't necessarily been mainstays. Um, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett. I mean, Giga had that
Arnold
loss.
Allen looked great, man.
Yes,
He
he
looked
looked
great in this
amazing.
last fight.
And I kind of wonder if Volkanovski is kind of thinking like, no, look, keep me busy. I know that these guys are going to be top dogs. Let me fight them
Yeah.
before they peak. Let me get those
Right,
wins in
the Floyd
early.
Mayweather thing, like Floyd
Yeah,
Mayweather did to Canelo. He did that to a lot of guys where
exactly.
they were young. He saw them down the road, which is genius. It's fucking smart because yeah, I beat Canelo. I fucking beat him. What are you
Exactly.
gonna tell me?
Yeah, and the
So now he's
casual
just
fans will
like,
be like, well, fuck, I guess he did. And he's on his
yeah,
record. Yeah. So,
yeah, he did. He didn't beat this Canelo, but he did beat him,
mhm,
and it's really fucking smart. And so you can just see the way the man's mind's working,
mhm,
and he puts. Um, it's not like he's doing it and he has like all the talent and all the intangibles to back it up, and he's like, I
Hmm.
want to fucking show you this. I want you guys to see this shit.
Yeah.
It's not like he's trying to hide behind false hustle,
Mhm.
where it's like, I'm out here working. You, I'm great. See, I'm out here working. He's like, nah, dude, I'll fight fucking whoever, whenever, and let's do it. And he's
Yeah.
the champ.
Yeah, he's incredibly technical too, but he's not exactly risk averse. He's not like a Valentina
Okay,
Shevchenko type of guy either, even though I think he's at that kind of skill level. He's not
sure,
going to go out there and just be like, "Well, I'm happy to win on points." And
yeah,
honestly, that Brian Ortega fight, I mean, I knew that Volkanovski was good ever since he beat Jose Aldo. I was like, okay,
right,
that
yes,
guy's championship material.
legitimate,
Um, but it wasn't until I saw him get caught in those two deep submissions by Brian Ortega and hold on and keep his wits about him
yeah,
and get out that it made me realize, like, fuck, okay, I've seen this guy like at the gates of hell and he's ready to come back
yeah,
from all of it. And for that reason, I can't see anything that Korean Zombie is going to be able to do to get the W in this fight. Like,
yeah,
it's it's as good of a replacement fighter as you can get. I mean, Korean
yeah,
Zombie
ever
is
of
ranked.
all time.
Yeah, he's a lovable guy. He's a fan favorite. He's ranked fifth in the division, so it's not like you're
Dude,
going and cherry picking
I'm not
somebody. Yeah,
afraid to say that I was gay for the Korean Zombie at one point in
I
my
would, dude.
back when the shirt, dude, remember that shirt?
This
I was like, I
shirt.
want that fucking shirt, dude. And
I,
then they made a second one,
mhm.
and I was like, oh my god, I need that shirt,
I
dude.
would fuck
And
up my whole situation for Korean Zombie, dude. Like
yeah, dude.
I'd learn
Hmm.
Korea and everything. Like, sorry,
Yeah,
Joanna, you know.
yeah.
But
I watched fucking dude, I'll watch every single Korean soap opera drama, whatever you need me to do, dog. I'm down.
so yeah, that's Alexander Volkanovski versus Korean Zombie. Um, who do you think, or do they do Holloway Volkanovski 3 after this? I know we're looking past it. It's fucked up to go
They
and
will.
talk about things like that before this fight's happened. It's more a conversation that we should have for the post fight show afterwards. But this is a division where you had a guy like Giga Chikadze, who I thought was like making a run for the title, who got knocked off. It's going to be a little bit hard to justify getting Calvin Cater in there without maybe one
Hmm.
more win. Ortega still hasn't rebounded after his loss to Volkanovski, so
Yeah, that's a project. That's a reclamation project, Ortega. Like not a long project, but it's definitely gonna take a while.
I feel like I'm the only person who didn't think that Max Holloway won either of his fights with Volkanovski. I thought that they were definitely close. One was a lot closer than the other. I thought the second fight was Volkanovski's fight. You know, they were both good
Yeah,
fights, but I was kind of surprised at how many people thought that Max Holloway won it and thought that it was a robbery, not just that he won it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I think that because for me it was in the moment I thought like, no, Max Holloway doesn't lose to that little guy. What?
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like he would, and then you go back and watch it. You're like, no, he lost. He
mm,
lost, and he lost in a few different ways. And schematically, he lost too.
mm,
And that he didn't have an answer for that calf kick, and he put Volkanovski in positions, but Volkanovski was just better and got out of it
yeah.
and scored. He was trying to win. He was scoring, and he was landing the more devastating shots. So he lost,
I
and it
think.
was a weird feeling to watch that and see that. And then Max, who both of us, I mean, I think the world of that guy,
Mm,
and so it's like, damn. It's like
not used to
Santa
what.
Claus is my fucking dad. That was my dad in this suit.
Yeah.
That was like realizing like that shit's not real. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say maybe we're just not used to we weren't used to seeing Max Holloway lose decisions at that point, but
Right.
he had just lost a decision earlier that year, like prior to his first fight with Volkanovski. He lost a decision to Dustin Poirier. Granted, that was at
Right.
a lightweight fight, and he was filling in on short notice for that.
Yeah.
Or was Poirier filling in on short notice? No, he
It
was filling
was
in for
it was
Poirier.
Max.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Because the fight was that light. So
Mm.
yeah. Um, other fights on the card that we could talk about, or at least the only other fight that I'm kind of interested to get your take on, and you already mentioned it earlier. Mackenzie Dern versus Tisha Torres. This is a pretty good fight
Yeah.
at strawweight. Number 7 for Mackenzie Dern versus Tisha Torres is number 8. Tisha Torres has been surging lately. She is on a 3-fight win streak, if I remember correctly. I'm just pulling up her profile on Tapology right now. I could name off. I'm sure you saw him because you already put your bet in. But
I
Angela
did.
Hill, she's coming off of a unanimous decision over Angela Hill.
Right.
Doctor
And that's
stoppage
the
over
fight.
Sam Hughes and Brianna Fortino. Sorry,
Seeing
go
the
ahead.
Angela Hill fight was the one that kind of like put it over the top for me as far as like, okay, I'll put money on this young lady here. Um, she looked very good in that. She's super well rounded,
Mm.
and Mackenzie Dern's amazing, good fighter, amazing grappler. You know, two different accents whenever she needs them.
Uh,
But one thing that really caused pause for me, and I'm not sure how, because I don't spend too much time in like forums or reading blogs or whatever. But one thing that I kind of like, I heard in passing, and it kind of made me stop and like go, what? Was that Mackenzie Dern? She doesn't spar, like she doesn't really hard spar. Like her last camp was the first time she legit hard strike sparred,
hmm.
and it's like you're top 10 in your division, and you don't hard spar,
If you
or
find
you
yourself,
just thought about it, and it's like, and striking would be a hole in your game, and you decided, oh well, maybe I should practice on a championship level to do champion, and it's like, no dude, like that shit should have been like, you should have been hard sparring and striking more than you're doing grappling and all the shit you did since you were a kid. You
you
should
should
be
have
like,
straight up put the gi
it should
away.
be the other way around,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, no, I actually spend most of my time doing jujitsu, and it's like, what? And I remembered like
Why do
kind of
so
like
many
putting my head
jujitsu
back.
fighters fall into this trap, dude? Like, why? Why don't they
Yeah,
ever train their wrestling? Because that's the
yeah.
problem I see with Mackenzie Dern. And I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but that's something
No,
that I was talking to Mike
please.
about because, and what gives me pause about Mackenzie Dern's last performance is that loss that she came up against, that she had to Marina Rodriguez, where
Right.
I'm a big Marina Rodriguez fan. She's kind of diet Joanna, she's the Brazilian Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I love that style. Um,
Oh,
I was really scared for
the
her in that
skin
fight.
tone and the
The
Go ahead.
nose.
Sorry.
No, I was really afraid for her in that fight. I was rooting for
Yeah.
Marina Rodriguez, but I thought, man, if Mackenzie Dern gets her down even once, the shit's over. And she did
Right.
manage to get her down twice and late in the fight, and she didn't turn it into a submission. And she didn't get it down because she necessarily put the work in to get it down. I might be talking out of line there. I would definitely have to rewatch how she got that fight to the ground, but I know at least one of them. I believe she
Yeah.
caught Marina Rodriguez off balance. But my point is, like, we've
Right.
seen over and over again with the really really high level jujitsu
I bet on
specialists.
Marina that fight. You remember that?
Yeah, I
We were
do.
live chatting it,
Yeah,
and
right.
I bet on Marina
It's
that
one of
one.
your parlay
And
fights.
yeah, so then that's where I like was like, fucking Mackenzie Dern, like, what the fuck? And then I started like listening to what she was saying and stuff, and it was like, you don't you don't hard spar like full MMA, like you're mostly just rolling, and what?
She
And like you
needs.
do a little shadow boxing here and there, and it's like, what?
You know what Mackenzie? You know what the perfect camp or team would be for Mackenzie Dern? Because I know she's training in California. Is it the RVC?
Alpha male?
No,
Are
no,
you
no.
saying
She's
alpha male?
training. She's training with where Luke
No, but
Rockhold.
should she train in alpha male?
Oh, Alpha Male would be a
AKA,
good option. I was going to say she should go. She
yeah,
should go to Arizona with Henry Cejudo and them. I think Henry Cejudo is
yeah,
going to tell her, "Hey, listen, you're a fucking phenom on the ground. You can strangle anybody in this division, but you can't fucking get the fight to the ground. Let me show you how to fucking wrestle." I mean, he did it with Zhang Wei
right,
Li, kind of stupidly
right,
because what was the plan with Zhang Wei Li when she got Rose Namajunas to the ground? That was kind of misguided. But if he can
yeah,
do that to Mackenzie Dern and say, "Hey, put on the singlet and the Asics and your fucking headgear because we're doing nothing but
mm,
wrestling. You are taking Tisha
right.
Torres to the ground." I
That
would
is
have
so interesting.
I would have a lot more faith. But you know what? Team Alpha Male would be just as good, in my opinion. That'd be a great place to
If I was her, I
send
would go
her.
to Team Alpha Male,
Yeah.
just because it's. it's they have a really good Muay Thai trainer, or they've had.
Mhm.
They have really good wrestling base, with Uriah, and those guys will do it, and
Yeah, to
and
turn it
it'll
to
be farther away from jujitsu. But I did not think of Henry. I guess I just don't think of Henry Sue, even though he's training the Korean Zombie, right? So
yeah,
it's like,
uh, Davison
that's a good one.
Figueiredo, Zhang Wei Li, and then now I think who else said that they were down to go and start training
John
for the
Jones is
UFC?
over there,
John
right?
Jones. Yeah. I don't think that he's a great coach. I think that he's probably potentially a great wrestling coach. I don't necessarily know that his game planning is probably the best. They probably depend on that little
Probably gold
fucking
medal,
Eric
gold medal wrestler.
Badarsin. Yeah,
He might know a little bit about
he's
wrestling,
probably could be good for
maybe.
your wrestling pedigree.
You know,
But you know what? Like I said, Team Alpha Male. I love what they've done with Yan Xiaonan. Her
yeah.
last fight,
I think Team
her
Alpha Male's
stand
low
up
key one of the better, and not just because I'm a
consistent.
Sacramento guy, but
Hmm.
they're yeah. You just hit it right on the head. It's the system of how they do it,
Hmm.
like, and it's no secret. Like, look at Cody Garbrandt. Like, he got away from that system. What is he doing now?
Headhunting.
It's the proof's kind of in the pudding with those guys. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Clay Guida has been able to maintain a level of, like, um, what's the word I'm trying to use? Like, he's staying viable because he uses what they teach him to do,
Mhm.
and that's like, that should say a lot about, you know what they do. And like, Yang Zedong, or what, did I just mess that guy's name
Song,
up?
yeah, Song Yadong.
Song Yadong.
Yeah,
He,
he
I mean,
looked
that guy looked
tremendous.
insane.
Dude, they're turning that guy into like the the epitome of a wrestle boxer, and it's great. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's got the hands to do it, and he just needs to learn just enough takedown defense. And that's still enough. It's crazy that I'm confident that that is still enough to hang in the bantamweight division to at least get him in the conversation. Obviously, it's going to take a
Right.
lot more than that for a guy like Peter Yan, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah,
Right.
like Yan Xiaonan. I mean, if Mackenzie Dern wants to find herself in a fight with that girl, she better hope that she gets it to the ground, because her stand up looked much improved after working with Team Alpha Male for about 2 training camps now. So
Yeah.
they're doing a lot of good things
It's
with her
mark.
stand up.
Yeah. It's you can just tell the difference, and then they're dangerous. I don't know what, I couldn't tell you what it is, like what the secret sauce is. It has to be hard wrestling, hard sparring wrestling. And that's what it sounds like Mackenzie Dern really needs, is to, like, getting out of those scrambles, getting yourself into a favorable position when you are out wrestled, and then using your jujitsu to help you, and putting yourself in the right position to, like, land good punches. And then I feel like in WMMA, getting into that type of system can push you over the top for someone like her.
Having a really good scramble will take you far, also. And you know
Right.
what? I haven't even talked enough about Tisha Torres too, and why I think that why I'm picking her for the upset in this
Yeah.
fight. I don't even think it should be an upset. Mackenzie Dern's coming off a
I
couple.
think it's even money now, as far as I got it. I got it at 115, 115. So both of them are at negative 115 right now. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a pick 'em thing. But I
And
think in a lot of people's mind, they're thinking it's Mackenzie Dern.
mhm.
But
Yeah, it's hard to shake those marquee submission wins that she has. But I think like good example, Tisha Torres is kind of like unofficial fucking Team Alpha Male fighter in a way. Like, her
yeah,
style that she's been using in these last 3 fights, this streak that she's on, is all about
right,
movement, movement, movement. Her cardio is on point. Her striking looks better. She's actually throwing now, where I felt like that was a bit of a problem
yeah,
that she had before. She was pretty gun shy. She didn't really. She had the
right,
speed, but she didn't necessarily know how to use it in the stand up. So that's coming along. A little bit of that might be a little bit like kind of wasted movement, like you mentioned, Clay Guida. So there's a
right,
lot of movement there, but I think that whether it's efficient or not, she has the takedown defense, and she has the speed and the cardio to outwork Mackenzie Dern and just stay on her bike and make Mackenzie Dern probably tire out by the middle of the second round. Um, I was impressed with Mackenzie Dern's cardio coming back after having a kid. I thought that would
yeah,
impact her, because she had missed weight so many times that was just one of those things that was naturally kind of like something that would look like a red flag. Like, is her cardio on point, but um,
Good.
it needs to be on point for someone like Tisha Torres. And
Yeah,
I think
and
Tisha,
she's ascending. Tisha Torres is you can. This is the thing, like I with Aljamain, where like I always bet on him. Why? Because he was ascending into the. Now he's in this position, and where he goes with it from here, okay. But you got it for a betting type person.
mm,
Tisha, like look at Tisha Torres and her ascent, like where her career trajectory is right now. You want to pick these fights off where the line is that close,
mm,
where it's closer. And then some fights like Aljo, he was an underdog. For what reason? Now that you look back at it, why the fuck was he an underdog in that fight? But you gotta kind of find those and then ride that out.
mm,
Now you kind of you do what it's called like fade, where like Aljamain's at this point now, so you kind of gonna bet against him because he can't keep that up
mm,
for that long.
mm.
So, but while they're right here, you got to pick that up, and these are the fights to bet on. And you just like you said, and you saw it, like the striking's getting better. She's kind of being she is one of those wasted movement type people, but that's something that's easily teachable to get rid of. Like, hey,
Mm.
instead of kind of bouncing around this way, maybe kind of maybe kind of stay in the pocket for that for a little bit longer. Maybe if you
That's
get taken down, don't just try and jump up. Maybe try and be a little more liberal with, or a little more conservative with the way that you get out of things, and don't try to push up off of your shoulder. Don't
yeah.
use so much of your core getting up.
Let's use
So
some of
that's
that.
kind of
Let's use
that's
some of that.
teachable.
Let's use some of that moment for feints instead of using head
Right.
head movement for strikes that aren't coming like from like halfway across the octagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point, dude.
Um,
Good point.
So yeah, that concludes our talk about the main four fights for UFC 273. Is there anything that you want to recap from some of the cards that we're in the interim that we missed out on? Maybe that O2 card. Do you have any thoughts about any takeaways from that Blades Dacus fight? Blades is kind of
Just that.
reemerging as a
Yeah, Blades looks good, and he's gonna be around for a while. And I really like that guy. We've talked about that. Um, like Curtis Blades is gonna be around for a while. Aspinall is, I mean, that
Tommy
guy looks
Espinal,
very.
Espinal, Tommy Espinal.
Yeah,
Dun, dun,
it
dun, dun, dun,
looks.
dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun.
it looks so. It sucks because he looks um,
Don't say
like
Frank Mir. Don't be that
no, no,
guy.
no.
You're
Oh, no, 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 no. I was gonna
gonna.
say if Stipe really was about the MMA life,
mm,
what he could have got, where Aspinall's about this life. Like this is all we talked about. Like, hey, Stipe, maybe put the hose down.
mm,
You know what I mean? And Aspinall's so laser focused on being the best, not mixed martial artist. Not the best. Not the best striker, not the best wrestler, not the best Muay Thai practitioner. He's the fucking. He wants to be like the best overall mixed martial artist,
mm,
and you can tell like he's laser focused into it. Whereas for me, Stipe, I think could have gotten. I mean, he's one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. So what the fuck am I even talking about? But
mm.
you and I both talked about like this is why people don't like you, Doug,
He's a
because you
chump.
keep fucking you keep fucking with this fireman shit, and that's great, and that's wholesome, and that's awesome. But like, look at this fucking mutant here.
No
Look what
one.
he was doing
Yeah.
while you're running up fucking buildings and saving cats. This fucking mutant was in the fucking gym like 3 or 4 times a fucking day,
No,
and now
nobody in
now what
that
are you gonna do?
firehouse. Yeah, nobody in that firehouse is like Stipe. Stay and help us fight fires. Be a first responder. Put that
Yeah,
MMA stuff away. No, I'm sure even
yeah,
his fellow firefighters like, dude, go be the heavyweight
yeah.
champion of
You're
the
still
fucking
here.
world, dog. Like, anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
No, but it's just you made the point, and it was something that stuck with me. It's like, why are you doing this, dude? Like, why can't you just, you know? And I think if he and Aspinall is like a good example of like someone who's just laser fucking focused on being the best uh, heavyweight, and he could just the way he looks, he could be one of the top. And he's a good freshener, and I think Dana's like, oh fuck yeah, dude, because Gon kind of threw up out a fucking dud, and against Ngannou, the situation with Ngannou, we've gone over it. It is what it is.
Mhm.
They're both of them by not fighting are completely fucking robbing themselves of the bag.
Mhm.
And Aspinall's like, you know what? I'll fight. Look at me.
Mhm.
I'll fight in my home country. Check this fucking shit out, dog. I'll fucking.
He straight
And
up
he looked
said,
amazing.
I don't want to fight anywhere but London. Like,
Yeah.
don't book me a fight anywhere. Why? It wouldn't make any fucking sense to make me fight anywhere else. You saw how how the crowd, reacted, how everybody was behind me. There were people chanting my name in the fucking streets. And that doesn't happen for anybody here in this state.
Yeah.
Like, there's dudes who
Yeah.
sell pay-per-views here, but it doesn't matter who, like, I mean, even if it's fucking Conor McGregor, the streets of Las Vegas will never be full of people chanting his name. Like, that's just not how people
Yeah.
get down here, you know?
Yeah. It's just we're so scattered though, as far as like our fandom. Like tonight, like while we're recording this after the
We got all
men's
these
national
big
championship thing.
red-blooded American fighters. We got too many
Yeah.
to choose from. We don't want to get behind
No,
just any fucking guy.
I
We got
mean it's just it's just like there's just our attention is so scattered. Like baseball's gonna start on Friday.
yeah,
You
that's
know what I mean? And the NCAA tournament just got done right now.
mhm.
And every like the NFL draft's coming up in the end of this month. And so it's like I mean, who has time to go follow fucking I don't know, Sugar Sean O'Malley? Like who's really gonna do that?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not,
whereas in
yeah.
London, like fucking soccer's done. Well, okay, what? And I'm sure they have other shit that they do, but like
Cricket, yeah.
that's pretty much the coolest shit
Hmm.
that goes on out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Tyson Fury,
Mhm.
you know, is pretty dope. But
He's gonna fight once a year if he fights
yeah,
again. Yeah.
and then we're talking about it like with Floyd Mayweather, like he fought Ricky Hatton. You remember that guy?
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Knocked his ass
so
out.
they were like, yeah, they're all about Ricky Hatton, and it's like okay, and so it's a little bit different. And plus, you can fit was it like Austin, Texas, or what is it? That's the size of the fucking, you know what I mean?
That's true.
S-
Yeah.
Like high school football is bigger in Texas
Mhm.
than MMA is. Do you know what I mean? And there's some of the greatest MMA fighters come out of there. So
You make a really, really good point about that. It's one thing to get the entire country like behind you over there when one of their countries is the size of one of our states. Like that's
yeah.
quite the fucking comparison.
It's
Yeah.
like the Central Valley. It would be like like this. It'd be from what like Stockton to L.A. would be the UK, or and now I sound like a fucking idiot. It's like, oh, that stupid ass American
I'm
has
over
no
here
idea
like,
what
yeah,
the fuck he's
probably.
talking. You're right.
No, but yeah, like you can
Yeah,
drive across California, and in that distance you will drive through like 10 countries, like depending on where
yeah,
you're at in Europe. So no, it's you make a
yeah.
really good point on that. And you know what? The whole Tommy Aspinall thing, like so many people are full on green light, like, dude, we're all in on Tommy Aspinall. That guy looks like
I
he's
am
next. And I am too. I
all the
think
way.
straight up double gawk. But like it's kind of incredible to me like how quickly everybody's already forgotten about Cyril Gane. Like nobody is talking about Cyril Gane. And I think it's because on paper this heavyweight division looks a lot better than it actually is right now. It has all the potential in
Yeah.
the world when you look at the names who are the people who are technically at heavyweight: John Jones, Stipe Miocic, Cyril Gane, Francis Ngannou. You got people that are still hanging around who are going to be there for as long as they want to be, like Derek Lewis, dudes who are potentially flashes in the pan, but if you handle them well, you're going to make a lot of money with them, like Tai Tuivasa. Guys who you'd want to like handle it a little bit carefully because Tai Tuivasa can still lose to anybody in that division. But if you match him up with the right person, you fucking blasting
It
shoeys
just
out
yeah.
on top of the cage afterwards. And
Right.
then Tommy Aspinall. But if you look at what this division really is, there's a fucking chance John Jones never even fights again. Like honestly, it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me.
I
Stipe
don't even think
Miocic,
about it until you bring it up. I don't even think about it. I don't
yeah,
even think about Stipe fighting again. I don't think about John Jones, and that's crazy. Two of the
it's
greatest fighters
crazy.
that ever walked the fucking planet,
It's nuts.
American heavyweights,
Mhm.
and you're like, I don't care. The meat of it is really Aspinall and Blades. To me, that's really
Yeah,
the meat
and I didn't even mention
of the
Blades.
division for me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Blades really proved to himself, or proved to all of us. It doesn't matter how many times Derek Lewis or Francis Ngannou showed him the inside of his own skull. That he
Hmm.
still has the skill set, and he's getting better on the stand up. And he's gonna be around. He's going to stick around in the top 5 of that division,
Shit.
especially once
Look at
this.
how the. Oh, I'm sorry, man. But look at how the hype. Jorginho's on this card.
Mhm.
We didn't talk about him. I mean, this time last year, that guy was fucking balls deep in the fucking hype on the hype train. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So
that's
now
true.
it's like,
It's a good
where is
point.
he at now?
Jairzinho Rosenstruck was definitely one of the guys who everybody was talking about. Like, oh, this is the new breed of heavyweight. The big
Yeah,
guy, he's dynamic and explosive and all that stuff. And then a guy like Cyril Gane comes around and they're like, this is the new
yeah.
fucking heavyweight. Now Tommy Aspinall's like, what? So I mean, heavyweight's on an upward trajectory. It's an exciting division. I just really wish that, or I really hope that we get to see some of these guys at the top come in and put it on the line and and fucking
Yeah, just
let
get
some of
out of
these
the
guys
way.
make some or get out of the way.
Either
Um,
fight or get out of the way. Stipe, we love you, dude. You're amazing, dog. What you did, absolutely amazing. Thank you for everything you did. Dude, that fight against Overeem when you knocked that fight against Overeem, the most cliche thing. I watched the heavyweight fight at Buffalo Wild Wings, and like, and I that's the fight and it was like, "Dude, you're great, dude.
that's when he
Your
got
interviews where
rocked
you don't
and Overeem thought
understand what,
that
yeah,
he like
don't
subbed him.
understand what the fuck you have to say or what you're saying afterwards. The fights with DC, absolutely amazing, dog. But just either fight or go away. Like, it's to that point now for guys like us. I think I mean I know it's sacrilegious because it's like, who the fuck is this idiot in his
Those
fucking.
three back-to-back fights with DC just hurts Stipe's stock in my eyes too much, man.
Yeah,
Because it's like,
yeah.
bro, like we need to see you not in a title fight.
And then that's what we were talking about with uh we were talking about that earlier with like Masvidal and Covington. It's like how they just, and this is like that on steroids. Like, you're just reading that fucking towel out a little too much with that, and it can really affect your fucking career. You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, you had Figueiredo and Moreno, which we bring up every fucking.
I was
They're
just
such an
about to bring that
outlier.
up. Yeah. Well, let's transition to that because that
Sure.
I think that they had announced between our last episode and this one that they were going to do the fourth fight, and now Davison Figueiredo is calling out Kai Kara France, which I hope that they make that fight. I don't.
Yeah.
I'll watch. I'll watch part 4 of that fight anytime, but right now, while you got a guy who's surging like Kai Kara France, you don't make that guy sit on the bench when these dudes have already fought 3 times.
Shit. I'd like to see Askarov in against Figueiredo too. Like,
Yeah,
either one of those two guys.
I would
I didn't think it
too.
was that. Yeah.
I would too, and I didn't get a chance to actually see that fight. That was the
Hmm.
night of Mike's wedding, so I didn't get to see any of those fights aside from like quick highlights. I saw the finish of Curtis Blades over Dawkins. So, but yeah, man, I just think you can't make a perfectly good contender like Karkar France coming off of a win over Askarov, who I thought Askarov was going to hand him his ass. Like, I thought that guy was like the dude, like the uncrowned champion of the division. I thought that was the guy to beat. But Kaikar France exceeded my expectations. Um,
I
and
think Askarov was pretty close to winning that fight. From what
mm,
I mean, I watched it. I thought it was. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have said. I wasn't. I didn't think it was a robbery. Like, some people came out and said, like, that's a straight out robbery.
really,
You can totally tell that they're pushing Kaikar France up the ladder. They fucking robbed Askarov. And like, no, they
I
don't.
wouldn't say that. Kaikar
They
France
don't
has
do it
fought
like
for everything
that.
he's ever got, every opportunity
Yeah,
he's
they
ever
don't do
gotten.
it like that. And that was kind of like a quick twitch reaction, in my opinion. When people said it was a robbery, it
Uh-huh.
was a fucking close fight, and you can break it down and explain how it it was maybe close enough to where a decision the other way would have made sense, and I would have listened, but it wasn't a fucking robbery by any
Mm,
means.
yeah. Um, to anybody listening to this, please go and donate to Chael Sonnen's legal defense,
Yes,
his legal
please.
defense fund. He didn't do any of that stuff. He actually,
UncleChael.org.
yeah, Uncle Chael actually showed up and beat up the guy who was attacking those people. And then that guy scurried off, and everyone thought it was Chael. It's just
How
everything's.
American is it that Kobe and Masvidal are eating up the whatever amount of, like, journalistic like bandwidth. They're talking about Covington and Masvidal, where if like a really good investigative reporter just jumped in on the show, like, why did this happen? What
I'm s-
exactly happened?
I'm
Who are the
surprised it's
people
not.
involved?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not getting as much coverage as it is also because, and I
Right.
think it's because as more of the details come out, at first apparently Brendan Schaub
Yeah.
went
Bring
way
this up
over
to me.
anybody's fucking
Yeah.
heads. So
Yeah.
if you're not super familiar with what's going on, in December, Chael Sonnen was arrested because of an alleged attack that he made on people. It was, they were pretty
Yeah.
light on the details, in a hotel in Las Vegas. There was like an image of him in handcuffs with like a white bloody shirt around his neck. So the dude had been in some kind of a skirmish for sure. And then Chell was just hush was the word. It didn't say a thing about it at all. Chell's not a dumb guy. He's been through the legal process before, whether it was because of his shady real estate deals. I think he held public office at one point where he got
Or
in
he was
hot water for
trying
that.
to, right? I think he was trying to.
Yeah, the dude was definitely not playing by the rules. He's definitely had his run-ins with Nevada State Athletic Commission in the past because of his use of PEDs. But all this to
Want to
say,
make an omelet?
Chael
Gonna
Sonnen
crack
crack some
eggs.
eggs.
Gotta crack eggs, though.
Chael knows the law. Brendan Schaub took it upon himself, I don't know on whose direction or with whose information, to come out with a completely bullshit story that Chael was defending his wife, because
Yeah.
like some bad actors in the hallway of the hotel were like saying lewd things to them or something like that, like in front of his wife, and Chael beat him up, and it was just fucking cut and dry. Apparently that was all complete bullshit, and
Yeah.
Brendan Schaub fucked over Chael Sonnen pretty bad by opening his mouth without, you know.
Shocker.
Right. So now the victims of the attack saw what Brendan Schaub said, saw that
Jesus
everybody
Christ.
immediately.
Imagine that.
Imagine, dude.
That's
You
what fucking
you get
fucks it up is that Brendan Schaub.
it. So they heard that, they saw that everybody immediately said, "Oh well, of course that makes perfect sense. Uncle Chael has never lost a fight. He's certainly never attacked no one for no good reason. Must be the good guy in this scenario. Fuck those people."
Right.
They've brought charges upon him now. He had a felony charge attached to it, which I think was like manslaughter or something like that. I don't know all the legal
Uh,
details, but it's looking pretty fucking creepy. Like,
yeah.
because we know Chael Sonnen, we know Chael Sonnen's personality. We don't know him personally, but we know Chael
The
Sonnen's not.
personality he's shown
It's
us,
the
right?
I guess but we know Chael Sonnen's not going to just like randomly fucking attack six people in a hotel
He's
room
not gonna let
without.
people get close to him.
He's
He can't
he
get close to him.
can't let you get close. Since then, the felony charges have been dropped. They said that the only reason they brought these charges up was because of what Brendan Schaub said. They wanted the truth to get out there. So that came up. They've since dropped the felony charges, but Chael Sonnen still has 6 misdemeanor charges on his name, and that is for attacking, I believe, 6 people total in a hotel room, starting with a couple that he started
So was
randomly
it a
attacking them
swingers
in.
party? So was
He,
it a swingers party? Someone
Chael,
put it in the wrong hole.
someone put it in the wrong. Chell says that he was blacked out on Ambien, and
That can
I don't
happen.
not believe him. I've heard plenty of crazy stories about shit that people have
I've
done on
been there.
Ambien.
I've been there, dude. I've crazy. Not me taking it, but I've been with someone, and I didn't realize that they were completely like they weren't even there,
Mhm.
and I had no idea. I had no idea. It was a trip.
Full on
I
hallucinations. Yeah.
Yeah. It was insane. So can I? Do you want me to tell the story or not?
If you want to, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No. So like a family member of mine was using my car, and they're like, "Oh well, hey, thanks for letting me use your car last night. Like, I'll take you to breakfast. Me and my boyfriend want to take you to breakfast tomorrow." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." They're like, "We'll come pick you up and take you." And then I'm like, "Okay, that's really nice of you." You know, I didn't expect it. Like, you can use my car, whatever. Pick me up. She picks me up. We're fucking driving. Out of nowhere, we're fucking in a one way going the wrong way, and she's not turning. And then her boyfriend turns the wheel. We're on in my car on the curb for like half a fucking mile, knocking over signs, hit a fucking uh hit a fucking bench, like a legit bench. And then finally, like was because I didn't have my contact lenses in and I was in the back seat. So like I had to fucking grab the fucking wheel and put us in the car. And then her boyfriend got in and like flipped it and turned. And I'm like flipping out. I almost died. We almost killed someone. And like I was like, how did you not um how did you not fucking see that? And then she was just talking to me and she was like bringing up like these things from like television. Like it was like The Office or some. She was watching The Office on Ambien, fell asleep, and that's what she was talking about. A few hours later, she explained to me like I couldn't fucking sleep. I took an Ambien too late, and I woke up, and we're in the fucking living room of my house, and you're explaining to me how I almost killed people. I have no idea.
Fucking
And
holy
she was like walking around, um, ordering breakfast, speaking to me, like asking me how my night was and all this other stuff. She had no idea what the fuck was going on. She
the
was driving
lights
a fucking car.
the lights
Yeah.
are on, but no one's home.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't tell that that's what it was because it was wide awake. But to her, like she was dead asleep.
So crazy. Yeah,
That's insane, right?
I've heard stories of from people on. I mean, I think it was on Reddit where, but
Yeah.
stories of people on Ambien who drove like to a fucking fast food place like a couple towns over, and
Yeah.
like went into the drive-through and then just left their car in the drive-through and like
Totally
went
possible.
somewhere
That
else.
sounds crazy.
Uh,
Totally possible. I've been in the
Absolutely.
back seat watching this happen
Mm,
with someone who I grew up, who
mm.
like was like basically had a hand in raising me, and like I was like, she's totally awake and lucid and everything's fine. And then she's like, dude, I had absolutely no idea what the fuck was going on. And her boyfriend was like, yeah, dude, she took an Ambien too late. And I was like,
It's
Jesus
crazy,
Christ,
man.
that's insane.
So I mean, it's if that's the truth, which and like I said, I don't not believe that explanation. If he really
Yeah.
was on Ambien, because I know it came out that his wife. So Brendan Schaub had said that the people were talking shit about his wife right in front of him. But his wife was in bed the entire time. Like she had taken an Ambien earlier in the night and she was
Oh,
passed out. She said that
I was gonna ask in bed or in bed.
with that couple that got attacked. No,
Yeah.
she was in bed. She woke up because security was waking her up to escort her out of the room after all that shit had went down.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard that if you mix Ambien with a little bit of alcohol, like
Yeah, and
it can go bad
in
real
my
fast.
story, there was a lot of bit of
Yeah,
alcohol.
exactly. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's fucking sad that it happened. I mean, Chael's gonna be okay. They dropped the felony charges. Now it's just some misdemeanors. I don't think he's going to see the inside of a jail cell for this. It could have been a lot worse, though. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy to think if a guy with Chael Sonnen's ability is under the influence of something like that, where whatever he's seeing, whatever data is being processed by his eyeballs into his brain in those moments
Yeah.
is not reality, he could have killed somebody. Like if it was
Easily.
a woman by herself in that hallway, because I think it was a couple that he attacked at first. He could have ended somebody's life.
How
Um,
scary is that? Like
it's
a
fucking
shark-eyed jail sonnen is just, then there's nothing you can do to stop him. He
no.
has to. Hopefully, he wakes up.
If it was either of us alone, Chael Sonnen probably would have fucking. I mean, I would have
I'm
gone
dead.
for his fucking eyes. You know what I mean? You
Right.
if you feel like it's life or death. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'd likely be fucking dead. Like if he decides, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna choke this guy and just doesn't let go because we thinks we're a fucking demon or something.
Yeah.
Um, so Brendan Schaub,
He gets a
shut the
six
fuck
round with
up.
Anderson. He's in
He
the
gets
sixth round with Anderson.
and he's gonna fucking finish it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I hope everything turns out all right for everybody involved.
Yeah.
I think once I don't know if like Chael
Except for
Sonnen's
Brendan Schaub. I hope
except for
Brendan.
Brendan Schaub.
All
Brendan
the worst
Schaub,
things.
shut the fuck up, please. I think once I don't know if like Chael Sonnen has had an opportunity to speak in front of the victims or anything
Hmm.
yet. But I think once he does, and if he's really holding on to that Ambien explanation, I think everything will probably be fine. And
He's so smart though, because like that could happen.
mhm.
Maybe it didn't. Maybe go fuck yourself. It could have been Ambien. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, that guy's so smart with that shit. He's just slippery enough.
And you know what? I
Mhm.
gotta say, because of course, and this I actually haven't seen. I kind of started to just out John Jones tweet from the fight,
Oh yeah,
but of course, John Jones. I don't even really blame John Jones for coming out and kicking Chael while he's down. You know, with
yeah.
this going on because
Everybody kicked John. I mean, that
um
was like the thing to do.
a little shame on Daniel Cormier though, because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
he came out and said, well, yeah, Chael Sonnen always kicked John while he was down, so he should have expected this. And I gotta say, like, Dominic Cruz was right about Chael Sonnen. I mean, excuse me, about Daniel Cormier maybe not doing his homework, because
Right.
as someone who's watched a lot of Chael Sonnen's content, I can't really watch his stuff too much anymore. He talks in circles too much, but
Yeah. Good
surprisingly,
point.
Chael Sonnen has largely covered John Jones's legal battles and his legal troubles largely in the same way that any other MMA media outlets have. Like, and I know this because anytime John has fucked up, I would go to Chael Sonnen's content,
Yeah.
waiting for him to bury John Jones and say he's
Right.
a piece of trash, whatever. He never does.
Yeah.
He's never hesitated to criticize John Jones for his his questionable business decisions and the way he likes to negotiate openly on Twitter and stuff, and pretty much shoot himself in the foot. But
Right.
unless he's responding to something that John has tweeted directly at him or said directly, targeted towards him, never really, never really kicked him while he was down. It's always been,
Yeah.
uh, John Jones found himself in legal trouble again. What does that mean for his potential return?
Yeah.
It's always been
Yeah.
pretty by the numbers. So Daniel Cormier, do your fucking homework,
Yeah.
dude.
He's just spread a little thin. You know what I mean? Maybe
It could
just
be.
so much irons in the fire. Like
And
you
and
can't really.
And to be fair, I mean, if you haven't really actually been watching Chael Sonnen's content, which I don't necessarily recommend it to anybody, there's an entertainment factor there, but it's easy to assume that Chael Sonnen was probably kicking John Jones while he was. But to somebody who
Yeah.
knows that he actually wasn't, that's a little frustrating. And
Yeah.
I've been critical of Daniel Cormier, his media and his reporting and his commentary
Yeah. As a John Jones fan, I've never liked that man.
before. Daniel Cormier.
And respect his career.
Mhm.
I could never in a million years accomplish the things that he has. Don't have the ability to, don't have the talent, don't have the work ethic that that man has, but it doesn't mean I can't not like you.
Right.
And I can't wish that fucking John Jones. Dude, there's never been a more visceral fucking reaction out of me than I think it was the second Jones fight when he hit him with the leg kick, and Daniel kind of went back, and also I stood up and was like, "Fucking kill him." I was like, "I get to see this. I deserve this. Kill him in that ring." I was, and then like I kind of like looked, and then my family's like with the with the food, they're like, "What?"
That's what, dude. As much as I wish I had people like more people to regularly watch MMA with,
Yeah,
there's just so many moments where I'm so glad nobody was around because of the similar shit
yeah,
that I've said too. Sometimes it's like
yeah.
like I'll stand up and be like, "That's it, end him, end him, end him, end him. He doesn't belong in there
In
with you.
this man's
Fucking end."
life.
Like yeah, it's fun to just
Yeah,
fucking
like
pop
I'm
off
at
about
that
shit
like
like
an
that.
Aztec ritual, dude. I'm just like fucking murder him, and I'm
About
just like sweating. And then I look over and like my family's eating what I just. They're like, "Oh, my dad just made me this nice meal. I'm like, that's so cool." And then they're like, "What's he getting?" Oh,
well,
Papa's
especially
watching his sports again. And then I'm just like, "Fuck, murder this man, murder him." And they're just
especially
like,
when you
"Whoa,
have
dude."
money on it too. Like,
Oh man, well
dude,
they don't need to know that, but
I can't
yeah.
imagine.
And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, you need to choose. Like, what are you talking about?"
Well, man, I think we could put a bow on it right there. That was a good talk. It was fucking good to be back to podcasting with you.
Yeah,
If there's something interesting, I'd say we're still gonna stick to our
yeah.
two
See,
episodes, like
I
one
think
per.
the two of us are too much alike to where it's like I was thinking like, well, fucking Kenny's got a fucking life himself, and he does so much of the work on this, the heavy lifting on this. Like, I didn't want to just be like we gonna do one, dog, just to do it? And then I'm sure you're like, well, Brandon, he probably is with this kid right now, and he's
Got
probably
stuff
like
going
enjoying his
on, and
life, and I'm not
March
gonna bug him.
Madness is going
Yeah.
on, and all.
Oh, I
Yeah,
this is the one year that because but thank you. I want to thank you personally because um I always get into March Madness and like this time of night, like after they do one shining moment and then it's like a replay of everything and they play like this uplifting music and like I think about it and I'm like, man, I didn't even give a fuck about it like this year at all because I was like so laser focused on MMA because I wanted to be able to like understand that I actually jump on the computer and talk about it. So like I haven't like so something was always and I always used to say that like when I before I had kids, like I would just watch every sport, like balls deep in every single sport, could tell you everything about it. But now that I have more things going on, career, kids, blah blah blah, like things have to lack in my sports fandom and able to like keep me in my and it was always so I mean basketball I have not watched and I'm a huge NBA fan or I have my NBA team. Love college basketball, especially about this time of year. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I could care less. I really could. I'm like I told you I'm watching like fucking Distro TV Elite XC replays and there's fucking like my favorite team is playing like
uh,
the Golden State Warriors, but I'm like, fight passes that Donald Cerrone marathon tonight. So probably so it's crazy, but I'm glad.
dude, Mike hit me with a pretty interesting hypothetical the other day. I think he shared a meme about like what it must be like for European fans and stuff having to wait up to like 3 in the morning time to watch the
Yeah,
main
fuck them.
events. Fuck him. But he said if I lived there and if I was on that schedule, would I be up every like till the middle of the night for every UFC card watching everything? And
Yeah,
I would definitely be for a lot of it. Would depend on what fights on the card. Like it wouldn't matter if it's a pay-per-view or any of that. It would really just come down to like there are certain fighters who I can't just go to sleep knowing that they're going to fight in a couple hours and I'm not going to be watching it
who are
live.
they?
Well, I mean,
Joanna
Joanna and
Asai.
Jacek, pretty much any of the champions, but maybe not all of them. I mean, I wouldn't really like fucking kill myself over missing a Francis Ngannou fight because those are some fights where you're gonna see anything that you need to see in the highlight anyways. Like you're gonna see the
Like
knockout
yeah, and then
highlight
you're gonna stay up 30
to see
minutes pat like 3:30 in the morning to see him fucking knock someone out in 45 seconds.
exactly, yeah, precisely. But what I did say was that I would definitely get way more into ONE FC and KSW since
Mhm.
those would be like on schedule for me over there if I was living
Okay.
there. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
And
don't
then they
remember what
move
everyone.
they move it around because they'll like what is it like 2 p.m. or
Oh, they split the card up sometimes. They'll do like
yeah
intermissions and stuff like Ryzen does also. Like Ryzen will do like a
yeah.
1 or 2 hour intermission like, between the beginning, like the pre card and
But
the
I've
later
done
card
it.
and shit.
I've done it before though. For I used to watch like Dream. I'd be up at like 4 in the morning watching like fucking Nick Diaz fighting at tuna net. Like I would do that.
The white
I have done it.
the white
Yeah, I
cage,
remember that.
Marius
Oh
the white
man.
mare Marius Zaromskis in the yeah
Yeah.
Dream
And then
Six I
my
think it was.
yeah, and then my mom's like, HD net. What the fuck is this on my direct TV? And I'm like, what? It's
um,
porn.
it's you know
Because that would make sense.
you know what's funny, and I'm reminded of this every off season is like I'm getting more and more into football. Like I wasn't a
Yeah.
football fan most of my life growing up, and I just got into it because of fantasy football.
Okay.
And every season I get more and more into it because I'm just watching more games. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
getting a more appreciation for the sport, but I still can't process off season. Like for me, like
Uh,
the off season, I can't. I'll kind of like throw on some podcasts a little while to kind of keep track of like dudes who are being traded to
yeah,
because
sure.
the first few years I didn't do that at all. So it just came up to like a few days before our draft or whatever, and I'd start looking at shit and I'd be like, "Oh, that guy's on that team now. Like, what? Wait, where the fuck is this guy? That guy got arrested?
Yeah.
Like, what the? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of I'm too used to mixed martial arts just being a year round thing. Like, I could not
Hmm.
imagine there being an off season to sport. Um,
Yeah.
And
There really isn't, huh? It's just there's that month.
go, go, go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like that month after the holidays, right? And it's like when Dana wants to take vacation kind of deal too.
Yeah, once in a while you get a situation like what we just had where it's like one card for 1 month is like kind of towards the beginning of the month, and then the next month is kind of towards the end of the month. So it really is like more like 6 weeks between like numbered pay-per-view. And if you're a
Yeah,
casual viewer and you're really only like watching pay-per-views or something and you're not tuning in for every fight night, I can still see where it still
yeah,
feels like there's a big like a lot of downtime between cards or between major cards. But yeah, man,
yeah,
I can't process that. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Well, this is one of the first years. I think last year there was the combine wasn't as bad, but like, dude, I used to watch every minute, and I used to watch replays of dudes fucking lifting weights and fucking running over cones and like vertical jumping with a measurement, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's like, why am I? And then this year I didn't watch any of it, like on purpose. And I'm like, why would I do that? Dude, I would wake up and it's like, well, the linemen are lifting. And it's like, you're gonna watch some guy lift weights?
Yeah, that's
You
so fucking
fucking
crazy to me,
idiot.
dude.
Well, how weird is that? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late to work, but I want to see the medical report on the linebackers. They're good. They're about to talk about it right now. It's like, you want to see a 19-year-old black man's physical? Like, you want to know how his blood work came back?
And it's crazy
What?
because like in a way I get it though, because like fucking just last night
Sure.
I watched a fucking whole 20-minute video of Gilbert Burns doing like a full like 15-minute like 3 5 round like
I saw that.
cardio circuit thing, whatever,
Yeah,
preparing
I
for
saw that.
Hamza. So in a way that's not all that different, but it's like
Right.
Gilbert Burns is only going to fight 2 maybe 3 times a year though, whereas versus like that dude who you're watching do the combine, like that guy's going to play like in every game. Well, probably, I don't really know how it works. If he's a rookie, maybe not every game, but you know what I mean. Like you're going to
Well,
see
you
him
can,
get more reps in.
as someone who you just said you're a fantasy player is, I was more like fantasy was more of a byproduct of my NFL fandom than it being the reason for my fandom.
Mm.
And it like what you get is like for watching so much college football too. Although I watch like an insane amount of college football, is the data chunking. So like you just see so much of the stuff, and then you know what it's supposed to look like in your sleep. So you're like, that doesn't look right. That guard,
Mm.
this guard, when he pulls, he doesn't gain ground. He turns his hips way too far. He's not going to get drafted in the first 5 rounds. And if he doesn't go somewhere that doesn't do the outside zone, he's fucked. And you're like, what the fuck did this guy just fucking say? But it's because you've just seen it so many fucking times. We're like,
Right.
well, he's an Iowa lineman, so he's probably going to go to the NFC North. And you're just like, what? What did you just fucking say? But it's just like it's so weird
Mhm.
how that shit works, dude.
I have a football question for you actually before I let you go.
Okay.
I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. They
Yeah.
just went to the Super Bowl, came up
Right.
short. I don't
Offensive
know.
line.
O line. I figured like they need to find something for the O line. I don't
And they
know.
did. They overpaid a little bit on a few guys, but
So did they already draft? Did the draft already happen?
no, the draft's the end of this month.
What I would
There's
imagine
good
that.
offensive. This is a good one for them. So they can, if they hit the right way, they can. Interior linemen's what they really need.
Mm,
Um, and well, just all over the place. And what's crazy is they went to the Super Bowl, um, and they could have took. There's a few different spots where they could have took O linemen, but like in the year before they took well, I mean Joe Burrow, I mean that's amazing, and then they went with Jamar Chase, which is amazing, but then they lost it. So it's like, well, if they would have drafted the O lineman, would they even fucking been there anyway? So it's such a weird thing
are they
to
in a bad draft position having been to the Super Bowl? Like, are they super late? They
not for O
certainly couldn't be
line.
last because.
No, not for interior alignment. So like maybe for a tackle, like a premier tackle usually goes in the first 10 rounds. And they're like Quentin Nelson, who plays for Indianapolis, who's a guard who was drafted in the top 10, um, or justifiably drafted in the top 10 anyway as an interior lineman. Um, but for what they need, which is interior line, and for what they're gonna where you draft those guys, they're in the perfect spot. So towards the end of the second round, towards the end of the first round, um, that's they're in a good spot to get it. So for a team that's interior line needy to where they're drafting,
Mm.
it kind of fits right in. So they can pause if they. But then again, it's like it's so weird about the NFL draft, which is such a weird fucking thing because these guys can't choose where they fucking go. Isn't that weird? That's always kind of been weird to me. Like, but then it makes sense because then they would all just go to the who just won. You know what I
That's
mean? So,
that's true. Plus,
but
and plus, like, how can you even like foresee as the team like who's drafting like how it's going to go if you give every guy the option to say no? It's like, well, why even draft the guy we? Yeah, I could see
it's
how it can
happened.
get weird.
It's
Yeah.
happened with some of the bigger like quarterbacks, like Eli Manning got drafted by the San Diego Chargers,
Mm.
and he's just like, I'm not gonna go, and they're like, what? And then he's like, yeah, I don't wanna. I'm not gonna go. And they're like, are you serious? Or like John Elway went and played baseball for the Yankees. He got drafted by the Colts, and then he's like, I'm gonna go play for the Yankees. And they're like, no, you won't. And the Yankees signed him, and then he went to spring training, and then Denver just came back and got him. And it's like, what the fuck? Like that's crazy. But that very rarely that happens. But yeah, for what the Bengals need, which is interior line, and they need a little more depth on that pass rush. They have some good pass rushers, um, but they need more like depth with that because you got to like throw those guys out in waves because
how
they're just going balls out
how big are interior O line guys? Or,
like size.
yeah.
Um, it depends on the system they run for what Staley does there, and not because they still so for what Staley does there as far as like run wise, um, certain like that's what I was talking to you like an Iowa lineman is like a traditional fucking smash mouth like two tight end fullback lineman where it's just like straight ahead, whereas like a Texas Tech lineman is like a smaller, more athletic profile who gets out on the edge and is like more athletic on the screen. So the Bengals, they with Joe Mixon, they do a lot of, and then with Burrow too, that like they get blitzed quite a bit. So you can see them, they run a pretty exotic screen game. So they need a more athletic interior lineman than like say like the San Francisco 49ers, which is my team, where they need a hybrid athletic but large sized guy at the same time to do what they do because they don't run as many screens, but they do a lot more interior like inside run. So you need a guy who's big and can kind of like road great. Whereas the Bengals don't do the interior run. They're they like to get their guys out on the edges in space, and they need an athletic guy to get to the second level. So that doesn't answer your question, but like an interior lineman is usually smaller but fatter and less athletic.
Do you think I
Whereas
could
like,
probably throw the pads on, kind of go to work a little bit for my own team? Like,
I mean, yeah, it's six. Like you're usually talking like a good guard between like 6'2", 6'3", and now it's going back to smaller guys because there's so much like hurry up and like screen game. So like 6'2", 6'3", between like 320, 340.
oh shit, dude, need to drop like 10 pounds, and
Yeah.
I really like to step
Um,
up for my team. How does that even work? How could I get on the team? I'm just fucking no.
I don't know, dog.
No,
They
that's
have,
good to know.
they
But
do have.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry to
open
cut you off
tryouts.
again. They do, and then I remember it was so funny because like knowing what I know about it or whatever, right? And like not to say like oh I'm Jimmy the Greek or whatever, but I just like I'm a weirdo about this shit, and like I know, and then like I've actually played football with guys that are in the NFL or have been in there, and like I've seen it, and I'm like I have absolutely zero chance against 11 guys even close to like you, let alone just like in the pro level, right? So I used to work with this chick, and her boyfriend had never played pee wee football, didn't play like in middle school, didn't play high school, but played in adult league football, played safety, and
Okay.
he like
Picturing some of the
wore.
guys in some adult leagues.
They won a championship, and he like wore the ring and shit. And then she was talking to me like, yeah, he goes to the gym every night, and um he was fucking trying out because there's a certain because like the combine which just happened, right? It's just like you get invited. It's like the top fucking guys you get an invite to come work out. and like all the scouts watch you, right? And then they have regional ones where guys can just kind of like, but you have to pay to do it, right? This guy was like paying with their saving. This guy's like 5'7". He's 5'7", had never played um, organized football. Played Sunday league at Roding Park in Fresno, and won a championship one year as a free safety. Was draining their bank account to train and fly to Indianapolis and do a regional scouting combine.
Latino
And
guy.
like, huh?
Latino guy.
Yeah, how'd you know?
That makes it even funnier, dude. Like, why
Dude,
do you?
she's my coworker, right? I know how much she makes, pregnant as fuck, and it's like, dude, we're gonna pay 3,500 so that he can fucking he can go, and like he has a trainer, and he's trying to bulk to get a little bit bigger, so like, we got a nutritionist, and it costs 2,200 for this regional combine circuit, but he can do it. And I was just like, what? Or like, don't. And
Good
I was like,
woman.
how's that gonna happen? Dude, yeah, she's amazing. If she, man, I would like to. I hope she's doing good. But it's been years. But I just remember sitting there like listening to her,
Taking
and
this
I'm
in.
like, you work here with me, and you have a kid that's coming in a month and a half. But your man just decided to drain yours to go to a fucking regional scouting combine.
I would have preferred if you told me that he was saving up to record like his rap album or his
Yeah,
fucking freestyle
yeah.
demo or some shit.
He would have had way better of a chance
That's
to
hilarious.
at least return on his investment. Not because
What?
with that you're just never going to see that money again,
No, no, not at all, man. The kid out of fucking high school.
dude.
You've
And
been
I
playing in
remember,
an adult league. Like you've been
yeah.
playing on dudes who've been losing sleep because their fucking kids are up too late. Like, come on,
Well, they're just like,
man.
oh man, and he like, and then I met him, and he came in, and he's so small. He was like so small, and like we were just talking about, you and I are the size. Like I remember, like you just said, like I have to lose weight to get that. Like I remember seeing that, like they drafted him, and then guys, oh, he's 6'2", 340, and he needs to get in the gym. And I'm just like looking down at myself, like, oh,
and and
yes,
and
that's
the
so.
and the truth is, when I say like, oh, I got to lose a little bit of weight to get to that, I mean, I should lose maybe like 70 pounds of fat and put on 50 pounds of
25
muscle,
pounds.
yeah, or
Yes,
something like that. Like it's just
yeah.
insane. It's
And
hilarious.
then he came around the counter to shake my hand, and then I was like, hey, and then I was like, what? And then
What is like? What do they do when they do the combine? Like what are all the
um, so you
feats?
do like 225 pounds. How many times you can rep that?
Okay.
Vertical leap. How high can you jump? 40-yard dash. How fast do you run that? 10-yard. Depend. So for an O lineman, you want to see their 10-yard split. So like 40-yard dash. It's a lineman's never really going to run 40 yards, but you want to see how fast he gets up from the stance to the 10 yards, because that's like about where a linebacker would be in the second level. So you want to see how fast he does that. They got 3 cone drills where it's like run your lateral movement left and right within a small little box. Then they do like some drills that are like um, more like a quarterback, will do like drills that are specific to a quarterback. A lineman will do drills that are specific to a lineman. And then you can just kind of see it. Some of those guys, it makes a lot of sense to watch it. What I know a lot of the pro scouts watch, they don't even really necessarily watch um, how fast they are. They look at the gait, like how does he walk? How does he look? Like how does he stand? How many times does he step within, like that's what they're kind of looking at that. Like how many steps does he take in his run, or how long does he take to get up to a full, like they're kind of just looking at that more so than like how many times you bench or whatever. And then medical, like they go and then they check you out, like they run your blood, they weigh you, they check your body fat mass index. If you did have previous injuries, they check on like how that, I mean, it's all real like weird shit, but that's kind of what it is. And then this guy, I was like, dude,
You know what I think would make for some really, really fun content, entertaining
yeah,
content, is if you and I did the combine
Yeah,
Not like go and pay to fucking do the combine, but
but
you
did
just
one.
do everything
Yeah,
that they do against each other
yeah,
to see who could put up like better numbers or something.
yeah.
I don't know. I
Hey
think it
man,
sounds fun.
I'm down.
Let's get Chew a
I'm down.
stopwatch and a whistle and
Dude,
all that
Chew
shit,
would
dude.
get. He would fucking cream his pants. Dude, he would show up in like the old school Mike Ditka shit, like watching us do it,
I'm
and he would
so
tell us
down,
straight
dude.
to our fucking face,
Uh,
like where we're lacking.
yeah, I'm so down. That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
Quick highlight chop shop for whatever for the.
and then run the 40 with our shirts off.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got to draw the line somewhere,
Uh,
dog.
dude,
Maybe that could be punishment or something like that. Maybe we can both put up like make picks for a card or something like that, and whoever does worst has to do the combine.
has to do the combine, do the bench, the 40, the vertical,
Mhm. That sounds.
and then like take the picture like in your chonies, like because they have that funny picture of Tom Brady, like where when he came out in the combine, dude, it looked insane. Like if you looked at him, you're just like, who is this man? And then like you look at like Cam Newton, who was like the number one overall quarterback. This guy looks like a fucking Marvel superhero, dude.
Like a fucking
And then you're like,
Adonis.
yeah, this is Tom Brady though. And then he's like his chest is like concave, like going inside. And so like that shit is so fucking funny. And then another story too about the combine is like I told you like I watched every fucking part of it, right? And I would like I remember when I lived with my parents, like I would fucking watch it with them. So I'm eating breakfast with my pops, like the D linemen are working out, and then my mom's in there, and then she's like, "What do you guys watch about?" So this guy, what is he like 6'8", 380 pounds, fucking monstrous guy, goes to run a fucking 40.
His cock
His
came out.
his cock fucking
That's
came out, and
that's
that
so
shit was fucking huge. And then I'm right there fucking eating the glizzy, and then my mom's in
eating
the
the
fucking
glizzy.
so then my mom looks at like the screen and then sees me eating a fucking Costco Polish, and she's like, "You could have taken that, big dog, like no problem." And I'm like, it's like that meme, like MMA when I'm watching it by myself, and like
Versus when my mom,
MMA when
yeah,
my girl walks in, kind of deal. It's like
fucking
she's like, you guys are, and then my mom was like, you guys like sat here hoping his cock would flop out and become, like, and I was just like, damn, dude.
we've been hoping for every fucking combine.
Hmm.
That was
Hmm.
hilarious. Yeah, I saw the footage.
And then now I don't watch
Fucking
it.
unit.
Yeah, and then now I don't watch it anymore because like I didn't, because not I never really looked at it, but now it's like they're wearing like spandex, and then that shit's just like they're running, and then that shit's just like fucking going, and you're like, I've been watching this. What the hell? Because I'm like watching like their splits, and then they do like a really interesting thing where like they'll have the best guy from their position. They can do a screen on screen, so where you're seeing a guy do it, and then they put the other guy who's the best there, and you can kind of see like shadowing, like how close he is to that. And that's like, oh, that's interesting. It's not. It's absolutely not. I should be learning another language or fucking cryptocurrency or a second side hustle or whatever.
Right.
I'm gonna watch this, but
Should be
yeah, it's
doing
pretty crazy.
homework for
Yeah.
the post show of UFC
Yes.
273, the fight plug.
Yeah.
uh,
Learning Polish so that I
learning.
can write a letter on your behalf to Joanna so that she will come on the
Oh,
you
well,
know
Prince and the Popper, this whole shit, dog. Like,
yeah.
I would need you in my ear when I'm in there, like
Hmm.
spitting game. Because
Ooh, Prince and the Popper. We could do that, me and you. I
I
think
would
so.
totally freeze up. Like, if I ever met her, I'd be like, you like, how did would you beat up
It'd
Claudia
be like a
Gadelia
bad
again?
movie. It'd be
Yeah,
like a bad movie, and then I'd be
it
like,
would be
"What he's trying to say," and then she
horrible.
like falls in love with me, and then like it's like Dumb and Dumber when I'm like, "You're in, dude. You're like all the way in," and then like I'm on the ski lift, and like you're like watching me.
Oh man, that would be so fucked. I'm gonna
Dude,
have
when are
dreams
we
about
gonna
that now.
change the podcast to fat guys in black shirts? Because I think you and I just wear black t-shirts every fucking time.
Mhm. Yeah, I hope my coworkers never figure out that I only own one black tee.
Yeah,
You got to play with the lights for a little bit, make sure the man boobies don't get in the shot.
yeah.
Because I still have some
I
standards,
have, I have the like black shirts that like they were like the main ones in the rotation, and then the ones that are like the post shower. Like I just always kind of look at the collar. Like once the collar kind of goes, then I'm like, oh, That's a day one.
See,
Yeah, and
I
then
wore a lot of V-necks for a while
uh,
because I got a very sensitive gag reflex.
ooh,
So so
could have
if
fooled me.
even if I get like a tight fitting like crew neck shirt,
Ooh, very.
it kind of makes me want to like
Those pro clubs
cough.
will get you, dog.
I'll feel like I'm choking a little bit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a V-neck once I mean the neck starts to go out too, just like any
Once
crew
that
neck.
bacon neck's out, that
It
shit
looks
goes.
extra sloppy when you let the
Ooh,
V-neck go. So yeah,
ooh.
man. This one's been in the rotation for a while. Brandon, we should cut it off there.
Yeah.
Anybody listening, or
Well,
anybody
I
who's
threw on this one's like 3 wears deep. This black one, so
fresh, dude, dude.
doesn't have an oil stain on it. Can't find an oil spot on it nowhere. So
I,
I
I
care.
I appreciate you dressing up for the podcast. I regret
Thanks,
to
man.
inform you that from this episode on, we're actually just going audio only, so no one will
Yeah.
be able to see this.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
I'll
kidding.
start rocking, or maybe I'll throw a Carhartt on for the fight week. I'll wear a Carhartt.
Yeah, dog. Maybe you'll start like getting better fixing stuff around the house if you want to wear Carhartt. I'm
Absolutely
just
not.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Absolutely not. I'll call.
That's
I know who to call for
car
that. That was low.
Carhartt. No,
Yeah.
Carhartt hasn't been an indicator of how handy anyone is for a while. I'm just fucking.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should put a bow on it there. Anybody who's still listening this late into the episode, thank you so much. We hope that you guys liked our breakdown of UFC 273. As always, stick around after the event. Probably Monday or Tuesday, we'll have our post-fight recap and I just realized it says recap on the frame of this. You can't see it right now, but it's supposed to say breakdown instead of recap.
Yeah.
And look forward to Brandon or myself possibly doing the NFL Combine for your entertainment very soon. We'll have to set that up. We'll have to put some picks down and make a bet on one of these upcoming cards. Because
Do the Combine or dress like the schmo? One of the two.
How do you know I don't dress like the schmo already?
Or
get that hard part like the schmo, like right down in the center of the hairline.
Or so do the Combine or have to wear a white T-shirt.
Oh shit! I'll do the Combine. All right, man. I will talk to you later. Have a good one.
All right, Doc. Later.